Hello, and welcome to episode 172 of Flix and a Six. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo. With me, Forever Noise, the man, the myth, the apocalyptic event, Alessandro Bielsi. Say hello, Al.
I am burdened by glorious purpose.
I like that. On this week's episode, Marvel strikes again, audiobooks, FX premiere dates, what we're watching, and other news and nuggets, all before diving into our flick of the week, Wrath of Man. But first, Al, I'm in the car with Kim. And we're headed home from an appointment. And she was reading me like one of the stats on how far along your baby is.
Okay.
And
is that what's going to be fun in games? We're going to do a quiz. How far along is it?
How far along is like, right? Because with the weeks off, like you never know. It could be. She's like, at this point, it's like his bones are fully formed, and it took everything inside of me to stop myself from saying, "Well, that's great because the bones are his dollars." Because I knew that it would fall on deaf ears. If only you were there in that moment.
Kim, can you just hold for 1 second as you dial me in the car?
Yeah, hold for 1 second. Say
Kim,
that again.
Kim, repeat that line, please.
Oh man, sorry. I'm gonna try to. I realize that I feel like the intro has been a bit robotic when I go directly into like, oh, what are we drinking? So I'm gonna try to throw us off something.
That's fine, because a lot of times I try and derail you with my version of the intro. So when I don't have one good, it's good that you have one in the back, back pocket. Like, hey, I got a little anecdote or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
I do what I can for the people.
I like that both of our intros without any planning, of course, because we haven't planned those like together since what Avengers Endgame, I think, or something
Probably.
Like that. Both ended up being Loki themed, so that's cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was good. But seriously, what are we drinking?
Oh yeah, that's right. Actually, I was on the topic of going back to your anecdote. I did text you the other day, right? I'm not misremembering that about the fact that they set a date for the second season. I think you should.
You did.
Okay, cool.
You did.
So let's a little bit.
Sure, that means I have to watch the rest of the first season because I don't think.
Yeah,
I
me too.
All of it.
No, I didn't either. This is good. Much like a Guy Ritchie movie, which we are doing. We're going to jump forward and then back and then forward and then back again. We're going to have an in media rest. Maybe we'll do part of this conversation from a different perspective somehow.
That's right. It's actually just cut into the middle of the next episode.
But anyway, we're drinking
Make it a game for the listeners.
Newburgh beer. Continuing our theme since we were able to rejoin for your birthday a month ago. Wow. Only being Newburgh beers and alternate ending beers, we have a Newburgh beer, Newburgh Brewing Company's cold brew brown ale with cold brew coffee. And that is, they took their brown ale. They added freshly brewed cold brew coffee. So Anthony, it seems I may have lied to you.
You did lie to me. You straight up. I don't think there's any coffee in it.
Well, because they've done other ones that are just like the Cafe Sour is just aged on coffee.
Sure.
There's no actual physical brewed coffee in it.
Right.
This one seems.
This one is mostly coffee.
It's mostly coffee. You know how that one is beer with a splash of coffee? This is coffee with a splash of beer. That sounds terrible, actually. Sorry. We took our brown ale, added freshly brewed cold brew coffee, and blended it with whiskey barrel aged brown ale. So it's brown ale plus coffee.
Got it.
Whiskey.
You got plus whiskey. And the barrel. Don't forget the barrel.
Yeah, well, I mean... So it's 4.2% alcohol by volume. It's drank locally. There's a lovely picture of the Newburgh skyline where this beer was born.
As there are on all Newburgh cans.
As there are on to most of their cans. It's proudly brewed and canned by Newburgh Brewing Company. It's brewed
You would
apart.
say that this comes in pint.
Oh, this is for sure a pint, yeah.
But I would say that either their glass is not the size of a pint or they overfill the can somehow. Because
I think we've now come to the realization because last week we did an alternate ending that also didn't fit into your glass. Remember, you spilled it everywhere. So I think at this point we can confirm that it's a glass.
I'm not going to blame. That was on me.
Well, literally.
Yes, literally on me. But yeah, okay, cool. So it's not exactly.
Well, I will say this: I have a Newburgh glass. Which did you actually sync up your glass with your beer this week or no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
So I also have my Newburgh glass. And there does seem to be a 101% of a pint that's trying to fit into this glass.
For sure. You know what's easier to see on this glass is that they have this sweet logo that looks like a heart.
You didn't pick it up when I tried to do that like 90 seconds ago. Listen, I will say though, while it may be slightly annoying that the whole beer can't fit into the glass, I'm never, ever going to be mad when I buy 16 ounces of beer and they give me 16.2 ounces. I'm never going to be mad at that.
Sure. I think we're. I mean, this is like 17, 18.
No. Mine's pretty damn close to fitting in the glass.
Mine doesn't.
There's like a sip. There's like a
little bit of space left.
Well, considering how frothy this was,
you know what? I'm not gonna play this game. I don't feel like running out of the room again. It's not.
You very clearly lost it last week. So
I also don't think there's any paper towel down here, so it would have been like a whole ordeal. It would have been upstairs.
I don't have any either, so
that's upsetting. It would have been much more difficult for you to get it to me than for me to go upstairs again.
No, it's fine. I'll just take it through the microphone.
Is that how that works?
No.
I don't know how computers work inside.
If anyone on this call knows how computers work on the inside.
Yeah, I do. I don't know. You just push the paper towels through one of those series of tubes, right? And then
it's fun. I'm going to shred up really small and it'll fit in the little apertures of the microphone and it'll be fun.
Do that like Willy Wonka thing where you shrink it down. Cheers. Let's just try this.
Cheers.
We've gone too far.
Sorry, I was just vamping so that I can continue to smell this beer because it is.
It smells delightful. You know what it smells like? A fresh pot of coffee. You know what's definitely inside this beer? A fresh pot of coffee.
But on the first taste, though, it's definitely whiskey. You know, of the whiskey, brown, and coffee, the brown is by far the least of the flavors / smells.
Oh, that's weird. Not in a bad way.
No, it's just not quite what you expect, right?
No. It tastes nothing like it smells.
Which is cool. It's something that they have really mastered with their coffee beers, like the Cafe Sour. Smells like a cup of coffee with like a hint of maybe there's vinegar somewhere in the room. And then you drink it, and it basically doesn't taste like coffee. It tastes like a delicious sour beer. And so that weird dichotomy, I love it. It's delicious.
Well, this is interesting because it tastes like, so I make a drink, like not a cocktail. Like I will make a double shot of espresso. I will pour that over ice and I will squirt a peel of lemon into it and I will fill the rest of the glass with seltzer. And it's like this delicious little non-sweet, like coffee soda.
Isn't that what is that, Manhattan soda or whatever it is? Like what?
Manhattan Special, but Manhattan Special has like all of the sugar. The rest of the sugar that's left is in Manhattan Special.
All of the sugar that's not in your drink is in that one.
That's right. Yeah, I don't put any in mine. But that's kind of what this like the flavor profile. That's what this reminds me.
But the first taste is definitely whiskey, or specifically whiskey barrel, as you pointed out earlier, on the can as well.
I can see that because it says it, but like it actually tastes a little bit sour to me.
No, because I keep forgetting that it's whiskey barrel. And then I took the sip and I was like, what is that? Oh yeah, that's whiskey barrel. Duh. Yeah. Cause it reminds me of like the flavor that you get on like all of like the Kentucky bourbon barrel beers.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good call. That's
why I'm saying like that's very clearly not even just whiskey. It's specifically whiskey barrel.
Their coffee cream. Whoo. Ooh,
yeah.
Is that a good one? I enjoy that beer.
Yeah, no, much. Kentucky bourbon barrel make great beers. We've done a few of them on the show. I really enjoy this beer too. It's funny because it's super dark and there's a lot going on with the coffee and the whiskey barrel and all that, but it's very light and easy drinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And their brown isn't a heavy beer. I love their plain old brown ale. I know you've had it. That's one of my favorite brown ales, period. It's so good.
Yes. Yeah, it's very good. I was about to pour the rest of this can in, but the bottom seems to have a lot going on inside of it. So I'm going to just actually let that sit. It might.
No,
it's straight up. It's just they're full beans.
It's rattling. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I just poured out the rest of mine, and I didn't see anything solid make it in. So.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so
I think you're probably safe. Like they filter their beers. Like this isn't one of those chunky beers that we get. Like Newburgh beers are filtered.
I'm not on board. I mean, I get it. It's the right phrase. I'm just not on board with the phrase chunky beer.
That harkens back from my personal experience to, do you remember those old radio commercials for like I think it was Budweiser, right? They did like the Men of Genius and stuff like that. But they had like a couple of different types of those commercials, right? And one of them was, I forget exactly what the whole, because there was like a handful of these commercials, like it was a little bit different, but all had like the same theme. And I forget what the theme was, but one of them was about this guy winning the lottery and having always wanted to make his own beer. And we're talking about this is like 15 years ago. Like this is before I ever even had an inkling of making my own beer. And, he's like, I don't know anything about beer, hops, barley, rice, all this stuff. And he goes, I don't know. I just tried my best. He goes, what came out wasn't really what I expected. Well, and whatever, it's Joe's Ale or whatever it is, right? The world's first ever chunky beer. And you hear a crack of a can, and he starts pouring, and it's very obvious that there's chunks coming out of the he's pouring. And I forgot how it was supposed to be a Budweiser commercial, but I know that that's what it was. And
I don't like that.
Yeah,
not a fan.
The phrase chunky beer always harkens back to me to like my only 80% remembrance of that commercial, which always cracked me up on the radio. So.
God. I get it. Like, I've definitely poured a beer that's like, it's very obviously chunky, but it's the worst when you're pouring a beer and it looks so good, and then you don't realize it's one of those ones where you probably shouldn't pour like the last 0.5% of the beer, and when you do, it just ruins the entire aesthetic. That's the worst. I'm not a fan of that. This one, on the other hand, I am a fan of. I mentioned before the call started that if you were to tell me to go into the refrigerator and grab the mint chocolate beer, this is the can that I would grab.
Yeah, this is the mint beer, actually.
There is something that green color that's being used is one of two things. It is either resembling like an Andes candy, like one of those little mint chocolate wafer things, or your printer is running out of ink. It's one of those two color profiles. But
speaking of candies, I keep forgetting to mail you that candy. And
yeah, you got to do that because I really want to drink that salty beer.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be salty, but you need to...
Don't crush my dreams.
Well, don't say it on the air, obviously. Just send me a text. So the thing is, I don't know your address. I know where you live.
Don't say that on the air? Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, so you're gonna have to text me the numbers because I don't want to mail it to your neighborhood. I want to mail it to you.
Sure.
I know exactly.
I appreciate
where you live.
that.
I know exactly where you live. I know how to drive there because it's actually basically a straight line until the last 3 turns. But I always forget. I know the name of the road you live on, which I will also not say.
That's
I
cool.
know the town, but I always forget.
You can probably Google Earth it and see my mailbox.
That's what I'm saying. I don't use GPS. I just drive to your house. You know what I mean? And
I will say that I certainly do not just drive to your house.
I know. You've told me you've taken 4 different paths somehow to my house.
I've never gotten to your house the same way twice.
Admittedly, you've been here less than I've been there, but still, by the 3rd time I drove there, I knew how to get to your house. So.
That's fair. I know I could do some damage, right? Like I know enough. I know how to get close. But I don't think I'll get there.
You get to Orange County, and they're like, does anyone know where Al lives? Can you please point me in the right direction? I'm determined not to use GPS.
No other context, no last name. I would like to go to either. I need one of two things. I need to get to my cousin's house, or you can tell me where I can get Gorgonzola waffle fries. One of the two will result in Al being in my presence.
Wait. Plot twist, because there are 2 or 3 of those restaurants. It's not a chain. It's one family opened 3 locations.
Okay.
So you could end up 5 minutes from my house, or you could end up 20 minutes from my house, or you could end up 30 minutes from my house.
Okay. Not so bad in any of those situations.
No. Admittedly, you'd want the one that's 5 minutes from my house. But yeah, we should do that. We should definitely.
Weird. It's funny. You don't know my address, but you know how to get to my house. I know your address off the top of my head, but I don't know how to get to your house.
I think I know it.
Sure.
I'm going to text it to you. Though the problem is between you and Alex.
This is funny.
I know how to get to both of your houses. You both live in New Jersey. I know the name. I know the town. But I forget the numbers because I think the first digit in both of your numbers is the same. Oh. One of you is a 2-digit and one of you is a 3-digit. And I always jumble those 5 digits in my head.
Gotcha.
Wait, hang on a second.
Well, the house across the street's for sale, and I think you should move into it.
Ooh, interesting. Hang on a second. Is yours 2 or 3? Is that
in the cards?
Is yours 2 or 3? It's 2. Shit. Okay. I sent you an address.
My phone's on Do Not Disturb like a good podcaster.
Well, I just put mine on mute so that it doesn't buzz or make sense. What?
No, that is not it.
Oh, no, I did.
That's an address. But it's not my address.
So I got the number. Was that the right vicinity of numbers? Was it within the right, like, decade of numbers?
It's not far as numbers go.
Okay. So then I totally screwed that up, whatever. But I think I might have done the thing where I ended up inverting you and Alex's street name.
Gotcha. You got the street name.
Oh, I did. Okay, so you said no, so I thought I got it all wrong. Okay, no. So
No, the number's just not right.
Okay. You're going to have to send me the number back then because...
Yeah. Of 10 digits, you got 0. Zero matches.
I don't know why that... I thought that the first number, when that was correct, it was the other one that I was shooting in the dark, so...
Neither number.
But I knew, like I said...
Weirdly, you're off by 1 on both numbers.
That is weird.
Oh, man.
I thought you were going to say they were actually the other, like, inverted.
You're pretty... Oh, now I'm wrong. I lied to you entirely.
Oh, wow.
I thought my address was something else for a second there.
So now I don't feel so bad about not knowing.
But it's off by it's a little bit different, but you're still close.
It's okay. Listen, on the scale of 1 to 100, I mean, how far could I have been?
We'll get there. Where are you at vis-a-vis the Thuckles?
The Thuckles? Oh, this is easily 3 Thuckles.
Trace Thuckles, yeah.
Yes, this is a Trace Thuckles cake beer.
Yeah, the Trace Thuckles Club.
No, it's a Trace Thuckles cake, like Trace Leches cake.
Oh, okay, I like that. I agree. One thing I did just notice, and no, I'm not doing the logo again, but on the bottom of the can, it says, you know where it says the beer was born here?
Oh man, what did it say?
With a little rectangle.
Yeah.
There's a little arrow that is just it's like oddly askew.
Oh yeah, it's like a mushroom. It's
yeah.
like you know how mushrooms are never like sitting like straight.
You know how mushrooms do.
Yes.
You know mushrooms.
Yeah, what is it?
It feels like the start of a John Mulaney skit.
Well, I was going to say, why did this thing always devolve into a Mulaney thing? Because I knew immediately the cadence of that was... It's funny because we were talking about that the other day. I forgot why it came up. I don't remember if it was someone saying The Boy or someone saying Timothée Chalamet, but I brought up
either way
that whole thing. Yeah, it's one of those two things came up, and it, then prompted. So me and my sister were watching. She's watched a lot of his stand-ups actually, and she wasn't familiar with that joke, which was funny. So I got
The Boy.
I was fucking joking.
The one that always comes to mind when I think of him is when one is a duck, one is happy.
I don't remember that one.
Oh man, I think that's. You know what? I don't know which one that is. I want to say it's New in Town, but I could be wrong. Let's do the rest of the show.
Oh. Sorry, we were off last week.
News and nuggets go. There's a lot of random things to talk about here. The first thing I'm going to dive in.
Okay.
All right. I was listening to a podcast, as I do. I listen to about 90% video game podcasts and like 10% movies and celebrities.
Okay.
Right. I was listening to a video game podcast. If you were to guess, that would make sense. And a guy was talking about, he's like, what is it with this game? Somebody mentioned a game title. What is it with this game? I never heard about it before. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm like, yes! Diane Kruger.
Yes!
And I was really hoping that's one of them would say Dunning-Kruger.
But it's not the Dunning-Kruger effect.
I know.
It's Armada.
But wouldn't that be in itself an almost Diane Kruger?
That would be a level of Diane Kruger meta that I couldn't possibly handle.
That's right. Multiple timelines. But anyway, it cracked me up. I just thought it was really silly.
What was the game?
So that's it. I don't even know. Honestly, the title of the game, whatever it was, not important. It was really just the fact that I was like, I wish Al was here. There are often times throughout the day where I go, and I look over and you're not there. You know, like that. Like if I were to if I wanted to fully enjoy this joke, you would be available. for that enjoyment. But
that's right. You can always dial me up and see if I'm available and play it back.
But that's true. Sorry, if you heard some clicking, I just had to rearrange some windows because I think I was talking too directly into the microphone.
Oh, God forbid.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan. I like to keep it level. Al, give me something.
What would you like?
I don't know. FX premiere dates. Go.
Oh, okay. I can do that. FX says premiere dates. Dear God, please don't take this as a challenge. Heaven knows how poorly you took We'd Like to Work From Home a bit last year, but we wanted to write and let you know that you've only got a little bit more than 3 months left to stop FX's Why the Last Man adaptation from making it onto TV. As mere mortals, we don't really know why, in your infinite wisdom, you've pulled out so many stops to keep this well-regarded graphic novel from ever making it into theaters or onto TVs, but you certainly have. Sending more than a decade's worth of plagues, aborted movie projects, failed scripts, absent actors, bailing showrunners, and more, to consign Brian K. Vaughan and Pia Guerrera's Eisner-winning Vertigo series to the pits of development hell. This is all the intro to an article on the AV Club about FX setting premieres.
Good for them. I like that. I like when you go on a tangent. We're all about tangents on this show. We could just rename the show to Tangent.
Tangents and the Six.
Yes.
So anyway, I'm vaguely curious about Why the Last Man. I have heard about it for quite a long time. I don't know anything about it other than that it was based on a graphic novel. But that's going to come out on FX on Hulu, sorry, Brian, on September 13th.
There's so many of those types of things that we do that like we could just have just a closet full of shirts with quotes on them.
Hey, it's possible. This is coming. This is possible.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think Where Are We vis-a-vis the Thuckles is a good one. I know that was only today, but I'm going to hold on to it.
Well, the thing is, there's so many layers to that joke. But sure. All of it is in joke. All of it is specifically in joke to you and me only, right. And anyone who's watched The League and or listened to this show and or enjoys beer.
True.
That being said, there is also a spin-off series for American Horror Story, which I didn't realize called, wait for it, American Horror Stories.
Oh, come on.
Will be debuting on July 15th. As well as the new comedy Reservation Dogs, which I know nothing about.
Huh. What was that first one?
Why?
First thing?
The Last Man?
That's what it's called?
Yes.
All right. And it sounds like that has been in production hell?
Yes, correct.
Has there been a thing that was in production hell that came out and was good?
Huh. Well, it depends on your definition of production hell and of good, but I'm going to just lob out there the biggest box office movie of all time, Avatar.
I feel like that was in post, like that's in production hell now.
No, but it took 10 years to make the first one.
Sure, but it never really felt like they were running into those types of issues of like complications with like direction on where they wanted to go with it and like shutdowns and people leaving and things like that. It was more so that they were building the technology to make it.
That's a lot of it, but the other thing was because it was never like specifically announced, we didn't have hype waiting for it. All of that hell happened behind the scenes before we even thought to look. But
that's fair, I guess.
And on all of that, though, I was thinking about Mad Max Fury Road.
That's a good call. That's the one. That's the, That's it. Yeah. Is that the exception that proves the rule? What's going on with that one?
Probably. I mean, listen, I'm sure we could cherry pick a couple more examples, but by and large,
that's a good one. That is the one. That's the one where it's like, oh my god, like it's not going to come out. It's getting pushed for 4 years. I think 7 people died, and it's an amazing movie.
And also, everyone hates each other now.
Right. Nobody wants to do this again, except that it was an amazing experience. It's like during it, they're like, I can't do this. And when it's all over, I'll go back.
So we'll go back to a description of Why the Last Man, in case you don't know, like me, who forgot, even though I've read this article like a week ago. It's starring Warcraft's Ben Schnitzer as Yorick Brown, a regular monkey-owning guy who suddenly finds himself one of the last 2 living beings on Earth with a Y chromosome.
Oh, right. Sorry, I know the listeners can't see my face, but I didn't have sounds to go with it.
Also, didn't we see this movie? Wasn't it Rise of the Planet of the Apes?
Nice. Yes.
Anyway.
Andy Serkis in this one, too. But as Ulysses Claw.
Oh, my God. It might be his greatest role.
For the pop album?
Obviously it's Gollum, but still.
No, it's Ulysses Claw.
So anyway, American Horror Story, the original, which is on its ninth season, will be dropping on August 25th, alongside the premiere of the 12th season of Archer on FXX.
Archer.
And for the curious, yes, the press release does list the late Jessica Walter as voice talent on the season, so she presumably recorded at least part of the 8-episode season before her death in March of this year. And What We Do in the Shadows, which is back for its third season on September 2nd. And Impeachment, American Crime Story on September 7th. And, well, that's it from this article. So.
Nice. I can't believe I still haven't finished What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, I forgot you didn't finish.
Nope.
Wait, I forgot. Did you ever get to see Jackie Daytona Bartender?
Nope.
Human Bartender. Oh, no, God.
Why? It's either the next or the next episode.
Listen, when you finally sit down to watch it, at this point, just let me know and we'll watch it together.
Okay.
Via Zoom and or Skype or whatever.
Sure.
I mean, I'd like to go back and rewatch the second season because there's definitely a handful of episodes that I was not in a fit mental state, whether because I was bone tired, exhausted, falling asleep, and or drunk. And
what does bone tired mean?
When you're so tired you feel in your bones.
Yeah, okay.
Which is my money.
Which are also your money.
Which is also my dollars.
Bone tired is going to turn into broke tired. Because you have no bones.
But that episode specifically, I'd like to rewatch and see if I enjoy it just as much as I did the first time, because I thought it was hilarious, and I kept seeing clips during the course of that week when it came out, and oh, what a delight it was! I don't want to oversell it, and then you have it oh yeah, that was funny, but it was.
I don't know. I don't know if you're playing the long game, because there's context there where you just said it was a delight. And it gives me PTSD. So
sorry, let me rephrase. It was
question number 15. Would some call this movie a delight? Boy.
No, well, the thing is, when that episode came out, I saw the Seppenwall recap show up that morning, and he hyped it up like crazy. And I was like, okay, well, I can't wait to see this, and it lived up to my expectations.
I love that.
So. Yeah, I know. I often am afraid of that sort of thing. When I'm looking forward to something, I don't want to see that, oh, God, it's the best thing ever. Because I'm like, oh, but if it's only really good, I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah. I really, there's too many things that I do want to watch. And then I just don't watch them. I want to watch the rest of Archer, right? I would like to watch what's out there and then catch up and whatever. But because I've enjoyed that show. But when you mentioned Archer, all I could think about was I was watching Master of None. When I was watching the first 2 seasons, I was like, is that Archer? It's yes.
Oh, I forgot he was in that. Who was he in that? I forgot.
He was he was with him on, he was with Dev on the movie that he was doing, where he gets completely cut out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he works with him here and there. I don't know if it's all on that movie or if it's through other jobs and stuff. But
I remember he was in a totally random episode of Parks and Rec. He played a lawyer.
Yeah.
He was in 22 Jump Street. He was the head football coach of the team, Channing Tatum.
He's just one of the. It's because it's his voice, right? So it's almost at a point where I've stopped paying attention, and then I hear his voice, and I look up at the screen. I was like, what?
He's good in the Arby commercials, or what? I think it was Arby's, right? He did
maybe for a while. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a lot of stuff coming out. Are you particularly excited about anything there?
I mean, I kind of want to check out that Why the Last Man, just because obviously it's people are looking forward to it. So I imagine that means it's interesting.
So what's up? Yeah, I hear that.
Because I have no context. So I'm not even going to bother reading the thing or whatever. I'll just go watch it. And if I like it, maybe I'll go back and read the graphic novel or whatever. So
nice. As far as watching things go, I'm still going through Homeland.
Okay.
Right. I'm on the 10th or 11th, I think the 11th episode of the 3rd season.
Oh, okay. So you made significant progress then. Because the last time we talked a couple weeks ago.
Piece.
Yeah, the last time we talked a couple weeks ago, weren't you still towards the end of the first season or something like that?
I think so.
Basically seeing 2 seasons.
So far, what I've gotten at this point, 3 seasons in, is I feel validated, right? I hate Brody.
Mm-hmm.
I hate Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
I love Saul, and he's the only reason I continue to watch the show.
Well, even though, I don't like necessarily like Carrie or Brody after a certain point. I still enjoyed the show and wanted to see where that was all going.
Oh, sure. I want to see where the show's going. I mean, honestly, like they're playing the characters that they're meant to. Like I don't dislike the actors. I think they're doing a good job. They're doing a good job of playing these shitty characters.
Their performances were strong. Yeah, through those first couple seasons. And I like what's his name. I'm totally blanking on his name. I hated him in the second season when he was introduced. Was it Peter?
Oh yeah, Peter Quinn.
Quinn, that's right. You know, I thought that's what it was, but I was like, am I doing a Peter Quill thing or what? Like what? Yeah. But he actually ended up becoming, behind Saul, one of my favorite characters during the course of the run.
I've been intrigued by him as well.
The thing is, he was a total robot in the second season, and then they made him into a human being in the third season. Sure. And so his arc ends up being strong overall. It's, it's a bittersweet character. But I ended up really growing to like that character a lot. And it was one of the reasons I was excited for seeing that he was in The Death of Stalin. I wish he had more of a role in that because he was really good in that. He was good in Homeland. So
there's the senator that's playing a big role in this season. I really can't stand him. He's just the absolute worst. But I've been using the rest of the storyline to my advantage as far as fantasizing goes. And I'm like, I really just hope Brody sets him on fire.
I'm trying to remember the senator in the third season. What's his name? Tracy Letts?
Maybe. I don't know the actor's name, but he's taking the director position at the CIA, or he's supposed to be taking the director position at the CIA.
I think it is him. I'm trying to think of a role that... Oh, is it the guy who was the father in Lady Bird?
Sure.
Well, I know you saw the movie. You did it for the show, so I was hoping you'd remember that was him. Like blonde to grayish hair, glasses.
Yeah,
that's him. He's a good actor. It's funny. You want to set him on fire now, but if I remember correctly, and I may be misremembering, to be perfectly honest, I think he grows into a more not sympathetic and understandable character. Like you kind of see where he's coming from, even if you don't necessarily agree with him. You know what I mean? It's like a complicated, conflicted character. It's like if I'm remembering correctly, and I may be misremembering, but I feel like he ultimately became like, okay, I get why you're doing what you're doing type of thing.
Sure.
I don't 100% agree with you. Like, I don't think you're a villain per se. Like, there's just difference of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's in a couple seasons.
I respect that when it's well written. And so far, I mean, I think the show is good. I think I'm enjoying it. And like I said, like I despise those two characters, but it's I don't think that like they should have done something different.
Yeah, the problem is they're both train wrecks of human beings, and so they deserve each other ultimately. But that doesn't mean that they deserve to be happy per se.
Sure, that's fair. You know what? I put the phone on Do Not Disturb. I put the iPad on Do Not Disturb.
And now you've been
betrayed. The computer, and they betrayed me. And also, I have the audio coming through my headphones, so it just decided in this moment that the notification was going to come out of the speakers. Because, why not? In the words of Jonah Hill, fuck me, right?
So, as far as my particular watching that's been going on, there hadn't been a lot for the last few weeks, and then I got to watch some Loki. I got to watch a little bit of The Bad Batch, even though I'm behind on that by a few weeks. I finally, the other day, completed my tour through the 37 hours of the extended trilogy of The Lord of the Rings, which is perfect because this year, sometime later this year is the 20th anniversary of the release of Fellowship of the Ring.
Don't say things like that to me.
Sorry, it's just math.
Isn't it the 20th anniversary of Xbox also? Isn't that what that whole ordeal was?
I don't know.
That's crazy. This is nuts.
Yeah, so it's funny. I feel like there's both been too much fanfare in the sense that I hate it that it's 20 years, as you were saying, but also probably not enough fanfare that like one of the great filmmaking achievements of all time.
It'll be a 25-year thing. They'll make a bigger deal out of it in 20
Well, it's funny because actually in a store the other day, I saw Time Magazine had like a cover, like 20 years of Lord of the Rings. I was like, oh wow, it's 20 years. And then I saw something online earlier today. It's like, okay, so like a couple of people are talking about it?
Man. Dude, that's like one of those facts where you hear it and you throw your back out. But you know what I mean? Like, it hurts.
Yeah, literally in this case, right?
Yeah.
And emotionally?
And yeah.
But it was delightful to be able to finally finish. I mean, like, I hate that it's over because I enjoyed it, but like, it did take me a few weeks to watch the 3 movies because...
Sure.
Like, I kept having to break up the viewings across like 2 or 3 nights, and they weren't always consecutive nights, especially as I'm dodging in between other things that I'm watching or doing. Like I said, I'm still pretty caught like in the throes of hockey playoffs. The Islanders are in the conference finals, so that's fun. But yeah, other than those things, I haven't really been watching a lot. So
yeah, I really want to go
Loki a little later.
I have to get back to the extended trilogy because I was enjoying the 4K run.
What I will say is what I will be watching, hopefully, is this weekend, I believe. Yeah, is the first episode of the new show that Annie Murphy's in.
Oh,
Kevin Can Fuck Himself.
I don't know anything about this.
Oh, see, this is what you lose out on by not having television, because there's been a lot of commercials for the past
That's why I have you.
So, in her first major role after Schitt's Creek, she is in a new show on AMC, and it's...
her career was going so well.
Well, I mean, let's see. Listen, there's plenty of great shows that have been on AMC in the last 10 years. Breaking Bad, some parts of Walking Dead, Halt and Catch Fire. I've heard great things about Humans. I never saw it. I would like to get around to that one of these years. There's another show that I'm definitely missing that I know that is a really good show that I've watched. It is now. But regardless, this show has such a ridiculous premise.
Okay.
That it's intriguing me. Plus, I want to give it a shot because I like her, obviously, from Schitt's Creek and all. So the pitch is she's a sitcom wife, like a hyper-realized version of a sitcom wife. You know, Typically they're put upon, they're married to some idiot, you know, and they're just supposed to either lob setups for jokes or get a zinger in and then go be a wife, right? Like that's what a sitcom wife tends to be.
Uh-huh.
So any scene that she's with her husband, it's a sitcom. But as soon as she leaves the room, it's like what happens to sitcom wives off camera when like they go out the rest of their life, and it's like super dark. I think.
All right, I'm in because first off, I just want to see her in more things.
And she does a way over the top Massachusetts accent. It's like I think it's not Boston. I think it's supposed to take place in like Worcester, Mass. And like she has like a ridiculous over the top like Massachusetts accent.
That's great. I'm so in for that.
I'll send you when we're done here. There was like a sneak peek for the first episode. I think technically it was out on AMC Plus, but it debuts on AMC like terrestrial like on the 20th.
What's the show called?
It's called it's Kevin Can F Himself, but it's Kevin Can Fuck Himself. I think the plot of the show, at least the first season, is eventually she's going to snap and plan to try and kill her husband. I think that's where they're like hinting at it, where it's going to go.
Okay. Is it spelt with like just the letter? Okay, I found it.
It's Kevin Can F *** himself.
All right. And let's do this real quick. Sorry, give me a second. Series Sunday. Oh, there's 2 episodes coming on Sunday.
Oh, cool.
Fantastic. And perfect. All right.
I'll send
That's
you.
how that works, AMC.
Well, because I mentioned to my sister the other day, I was like, "Hey, there's this new show with what's her name, Alexis from Schitt's Creek. Like, you want to check it out?" She's like, "I'm in." She's like, "What's it about?" I was like, "I'm not really sure. I've been trying to honestly like avoid too many details. Like, I want to just go in and see what it's about." I saw like a bit of a trailer. I was like, "Oh, it looks like it's part sitcom, part not." I'm not sure what that's about. Then I finally saw like, okay, that's like kind of the thing is like sitcom when she's around him, and then it's like the secret lives of a sitcom wife is like the rest of the show. And so me and her watched like a couple hours before we recorded here. They did like a sneak peek from the first episode. It was like 90 seconds long, and it shows you that it's like, oh, there's like a traditional like sitcom scene set up. It looks like that multi-camera, like, and they do the whole thing. And then she's like, got to go run to the store. And so she walks out of the room, and it cuts to looking like a normal present day thing.
That's
and
cool.
It's like dark and dreary. And you see there's like a wardrobe change too. She's wearing like the stereotypical like, oh, it's, a happy put upon sitcom wife. And now she's like dressed down, like not like made up, like all that stuff. And she just turns around and like flips off the house.
I like that. This will be fun. I'm looking forward to watching. Thanks for putting that on my radar today. What a day! This is great. That's awesome. The other thing that I don't know if I said it before. I'm watching. I started watching the The Boys, I picked it back up. So,
oh, I see. I forgot you didn't finish that either. You start and not finish so many shows, which is so weird. That's why I try and pick like one or two shows, finish all of them, and not like if there's something running like week to week, whatever. Like you can watch that, but like I try not to like watch. Hey, there's 3 seasons to the show. Like I try and do that one at a time because otherwise, I will lose the thread and I won't finish it.
That's the thing is I don't. There are some shows that I want to watch that are not Kim shows.
No, I got it.
And I watch most of my TV with her, and then when we're not watching TV, like I'll probably play a game or something, versus watch more TV. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, watching that, and of course, so I picked that back up. Right, I watched a couple episodes of that, and then I watched this movie this week, and I get friggin' Diane Kruger by Mother's Milk, which is a phrase that I would say.
Could you imagine someone overhearing that sentence, having no context, and being like, "I'm sorry, you got whatted by what?"
I think they were going to rob a bank. But that show's good, man. I enjoy it. I love that it flips back and forth between light and dark, like without warning. And I think it's so good at that.
Yeah, because there's like the fun, lighthearted comedy, there's the super raunchy comedy, there's the super dark comedy. Then there's just the flat out super dark and gruesome and brutal.
And then there's some super dark thing that happens like at the end of the episode, and then some super lighthearted song playing over it in the credits. You're like, this is just assaulting my nerves. It's ridiculous.
They might as well rename that show Cognitive Dissonance. The show.
Yeah. But it's very entertaining. It's funny, like that's another show where like the characters are so good at playing their role, right? Like you want Billy to come around. You want him to come around so bad, but he's not going to because that's not who he is. And like that's for you if he comes around. That's not the character though, and he won't. And I think that's really cool.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like he'll never be the good guy, but he can be better at things.
Just because you are a bad guy, a bad guy does not mean you are a bad guy.
Well, no, I mean seriously, like he can often do the wrong thing, sometimes intentionally. Like, hey, I don't want you guys to think I'm soft. It's like that. It's a weird version of like the machismo, like bravado, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like early, how far into the second season are you?
The like insane asylum breakout.
So you've already seen the exploding well then.
Yeah.
So I think that was the episode, or maybe it was the one before it. I forget, where Mother's Milk says to him, "Huey is your canary in the coal mine."
Yeah.
And it really forces him to look. It's like, okay, I am not just being me, a kind of an asshole. Like I am actively being a terrible person to the people who I care about. As much as I want to act like I don't, I do care about them, and they care about me. And I can't engage with that in a real human way because I'm too broken, or at least I think I am. But even for my own, even if it's as cynical as I can't get what I need from these people, I'm actively harming that. And it makes him 1% less worse and 1% more attentive to Huey. And then he stands up for him, right? He was willing to put his life on the line for him in that way, which maybe it's a gambit, right? Maybe it's just he's calling a bluff or whatever to show something or whatever. But it's like, okay, so he's 1% less worse, right? Like he's not good, but he's better.
Yeah, he paid back $1 of millions in debt. Like,
and it's like, okay, so like that's what will keep you hooked, right? Is there is some iota of humanity in him. There is some small attempt for him to improve and try and redeem some part of him. He's never going to be
so jaded.
Yeah, he's never going to be redeemed, but he can be better, and you know that given enough time, he will continue to be better, and maybe never better enough. Maybe he'll they'll still be in the red, but he will chip away at that debt eventually.
He also, and the other thing that comes through, like you can only play a character that well if you're having fun doing it, and if anybody's having fun playing their character, it is him.
Well, he's turned up to 11 a lot, right?
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, I've been watching that too, and I've been really enjoying it. But I've also I'm still listening to Without Remorse, and really enjoying the book. The book is fantastic.
Yes.
I enjoyed the movie a lot too. It's just like, so I didn't like when you guys said it was different. Like, it's like, okay, sure. Okay, are there going to be parallels? And it's like maybe the fact that he is able to
50,000
together these elaborate plans and sometimes dresses like a bum. Otherwise,
and like so, it's like 50,000 foot view. Like, he's a Navy SEAL. His wife died. He's clever, and he's like, people underestimate him. And like, that's it.
Yeah, but otherwise it's just like a different origin story. Like, and the book is tremendous. It's just really entertaining, and I'm completely hooked. The cadence of the guy's voice is really funny. It breaks immersion for me sometimes, especially when he tries to do a female voice, and it's just read it, dude. Just read the book.
Well, not just that, but like, okay, it's 2021. Can we not get two voice?
Sure.
Like have someone narrate.
Agreed.
Whether that person be a guy or girl, have whoever them narrate, have them do everyone who's either the guy or the girl, and then just hire someone to do the other voice.
Yeah.
Like, it can, like, one person can do all of the female voices, one people can do all of the male voices.
That's right.
And that can be the end of it, right? Like, it doesn't, like, it's weird. It's just a weird phenomenon.
Or just read it.
I mean, I can understand why
it would work.
I can understand why you want to signify this is now someone speaking, not me speaking, reading you the page. You know what I mean?
They do enough with other cues like pauses and things like that it's clear. But I don't know. It is very funny to me. Anyway, here's the thing: I'm very much enjoying the book. Drove to South Carolina, so a couple times there when Kim was asleep, I put the book on, and I got an hour or so on the way, an hour or so on the way back, and then. When I got back home, I listened to when in the morning I'll do a workout and then I'll go for a walk. And while I'm walking, I'll listen to the book. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden lately, it just stops every 5 minutes or so, and I have to take my phone out and hit play again. Mm-hmm. That's weird. And it stops and I do it again, and then it stops and then it starts playing at a lower volume on a different chapter. And I'm like, I have no idea what's happening. So this has been going on for a bit.
You know, Spotify's been fighting with me too lately when I listen to podcasts.
I don't know what's happening. But anyway, I work through it and I get home. I put my phone down. I went to take a shower, got out of the shower, dry my hair, and Kim's out already. So she was out at the yoga, and I was drying my hair, and I hear a voice in the other room. I'm like, what? And I rapidly move the towel around myself and I go to the other room, and I hear this man's voice, and it's the book is playing. I'm like, that's strange. So I hit pause, and I go back, and I put gel in my hair, and the book starts playing again. And I go back, and I stop it, and then I take it with me, the phone this time. And I just have it with me. Put deodorant on, and the book starts playing again. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. I'm like, do you have to delete the app in between usage? Like,
this is what I was getting at. Like, Spotify's been doing the same thing to me, where like I'll be listening to something, I'll get out of the car, and usually it'll pause and stop playing. But every once in a while, I'll get out of the car, I'll start walking, and then 30 seconds later, it starts picking up and playing again. I'm like, no.
What are you doing?
Or I'll get in the car, I'll dial a call, because I got to call one of my guys when I'm getting on the road.
Yeah.
And the call will be going for like 10 seconds, and then it'll just start playing underneath it.
That's
underneath the call.
No,
and I'm like, no.
They're fighting back. I think they're becoming self-aware. It's not great. Maybe it's trying to communicate something to me. I don't know. Either way, the book's
it's funny
good.
though.
It's just the unsettling nature of listening to it that I don't love.
Well, you brought up the listening to Without Remorse, and that just reminded me, I totally forgot like a week or so ago, Brian messaged me too, and like he's like a couple of books in now. He was at least in Patriot Games, if not one of the other ones, I forget.
Brian listened to like 40 books in a week. I don't know. He's out of control.
He's like, oh my God, this is so good. He goes, why didn't you or anyone else ever tell me? I was like, I've been telling you. Like, he's like, it's like, why didn't anyone else tell me this? Like anywhere else about my life? Like, I was like, yeah, no, they're fantastic. Like they're like world renowned.
Yeah, that's funny. But so that's been good. But then when we got on vacation, the second half of the vacation, we were at a beach, and I brought my Kindle with me, and I finally finished Ready Player 2. Which I was
going to say, listening to a book on the beach does not have the same thing as reading a book on the beach. You got to read a book on the beach.
I finished Ready Player 2, and I have to say, finally, after getting towards the end and watching how the entire story played out, it's fine. It's really
ringing endorsement. You heard it here first.
It's fine. It's the first one's great. I really enjoy the book. I had a lot of fun with it. Then I read Armada, and I really liked Armada. I liked that story a little bit better. It was very much like Independence Day, and there was just something exciting about it.
Okay.
And then this one comes, and Armada has a lot of recycled references. But then this book has recycled references again, but you can't. I feel like you can't do that from the previous.
Now, when you say recycled, you meaning like
the same thing being said as if it wasn't said before. That's what it feels like.
So, like, meaning like a reference that was made in Armada is also made in Ready Player 2, is what you're saying, or
reference that was made in Ready Player 1 is made in Ready Player 2, like things like that, like almost like, and the problem which you had actually surfaced with that article that you read was like a lot of it was forced and like just there for the sake of being there very early on. Luckily, that dropped off towards the end when we finally got into the story.
That's good.
But it's just like in Ready Player 1, there were 3 keys, right?
Yes.
Reasonable. We could break this up. Almost a 3-act structure built right into the main mechanic of the story, right?
You said this was 7, right?
7. Is
that just a Harry Potter thing, or? And
then like the last 2, they were like, I think I told you, like we were like, okay,
same place.
We'll get the 2 of them together, but like they go on and on. It's like I understand. I think some people probably look for something more in a book than I look for. Like maybe they want to get lost in all of that detail and stuff like that. But I like to fill in those gaps a little bit. I like to let my imagination do some of the work for me. And when it's like overly descriptive or like lingers too long in a certain area, I start to lose interest.
Well, it depends. First of all, you have to have tremendous writing skill, right? Because like there are people who object to the level of detail of certain things in like the Lord of the Rings series, in like in the books, in the Tolkien books, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, okay, but he's a master of the form, you know what I mean? Like so he's granted some leeway. Like you're not going to get bored when he spends 3 pages writing the description of this area and the people and like the time that like it formed what's to come there, right? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you know, like, but like if you don't like to read, it doesn't matter how good he is, maybe you'll get bored of that. I don't know, right? But like when you don't have that underlying skill or the underlying like why this is or should be interesting, you're going to lose people quick on that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I guess everyone's mileage is going to vary or whatever, but it comes down to what is the purpose of this description? Is it to set the scene so that you can see it in your mind's eye? Is it to give world building and backstory so you understand who is where and why the people there are doing what they're doing? Because if that's the case, fantastic. And it's something that I find that the Lord of the Rings did quite excellently almost always. The Song of Ice and Fire, also pretty singularly excellent. Some of it's extravagant, some of it's a little gratuitous, but the majority of it ends up being very informative to what's going on. Like what makes those books great is the political machinations and all of the intrigue, right? And some of that is literally informed by that sort of detail and world building, right? Of who's who and where they are and why. And you know, when you're getting a backstory of how the reigns of Castamere and, you know, all these like different families do this and that, it's like, well, okay, like that happened 3,000 years ago. It doesn't matter. Oh no, but that informs why the Lannisters are the way they are and why Tywin Lannister is a fucking prick. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, okay, now I kind of see where we're going. You know?
Sure. Yeah. Like, if it actually plays a purpose, yeah, I get that. But like I think in this case, like the idea was like it was almost as if he wanted to add this bit because he likes this piece of pop culture. So he just wrote a shit ton about it and like manifested the world. And granted, it was very descriptive and it was fine. I think I just wasn't interested in certain worlds that he made.
Yeah.
And that happens. You know, that's fine. But I was just
especially it sounds like they really played like the greatest hits in the first one. So after that, you have to go with deeper cuts, and those may or may not resonate.
Sure. And they got to the point where like I got through those chapters, right? Like obviously I read them, but it was just like I'm ready for the next thing. Like let's move on. And then ultimately, like what they did with the story at the end, that was actually kind of fun to get through. That was exciting. Like tell me the story. Show me how the characters are going to like get through this struggle. Like I liked that stuff. I thought he did a good job there. But overall, Ready Player 2, it's fine.
So it sounds like your ranking is Armada, Ready Player 1,
yes,
Ready Player 2.
Yeah.
But where does Nerd Porn Auteur slot in that?
That's a good question. I think it's almost it encompasses all. It's where those books overlap. In the Venn diagram, that's what that area is labeled. Final note on vacation. So listen to some audiobooks on the way in and out. Listen to read Ready Player 2 while I was there. On vacation, it was 7 days, right? It was 1 day of travel in, 1 day of travel out. So 5 days in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to report that I had crab 5 times.
Oh,
and
fantastic.
I would call that vacation a success.
Now, did you have 5 different types of crab? Meaning like the way it was prepared and served? Whatever?
I had first crab beignets on the first night.
Okay.
They were delicious, and there was a lot of them.
Nice.
The second night, I had... you know what? I forgot what kind of crab it was the second day.
Disappointing.
It was not crab legs or anything like that. It must have been some... I forgot what it was. Anyway, third night was crab cakes.
Fantastic.
The second... the fourth... Maybe I have this backwards. Oh, so beignets. Sorry, the first night was beignets. The second night was crab cakes. The third and fourth night were crab legs.
Okay.
And then the fifth was like some crab shrimp, like hush puppy style bowl, which is so good.
Oh, okay.
So good. And then one of the days I had hush puppies with honey butter.
Yes, that's the way to do it.
Oh, mama. 2 days in a row we went to the Crab Shack. That was near the Folly Beach Hotel. Okay. First day, I got the crab bucket, and it was 2 clusters of crab.
Yeah, bucket of crabs, way to do it.
Yeah. The second day, I was like, I'm going to get the other one that has other things in it. It was a bucket with one cluster of crab legs, 6 oysters, and like 2/3 pounds of shrimp.
Sorry, 2/3 of a pound of shrimp?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I ate all of it.
Fantastic.
Just to be very clear.
Oh my God. Sounds delightful.
The oysters were closed, and I had to open them with a thing. I had to like shuck them myself, but they were already steamed. They did not open during the steaming. I guess that's a clam thing? Unclear.
This is concerning because it's a clam thing and it's a mussel thing.
Right.
But it's
I don't know.
Not an oyster
they were
thing?
definitely cooked when I got inside.
Okay.
Right? I open it up, right? Get the first one. I find a way in. I prop myself in. Get there. Cool. Pick up the second one. Can't get in. Move it aside for now. Third one. Can't get in. Move it aside. Fourth one. Breaking through. Finally get in. Got it. After that, I'm like, I'm going to move back to the crab for a bit because these oysters should drive me crazy. Eating some crab. Then, like, I guess this manager guy is walking around asking table by table, how's it going? How's your food?
I thought you were going to say he's walking around table by table. Can I please open your oysters?
Oh, no. So he does that. He's going around asking. He gets to us. Everybody's, good. What do you say when something? Hey, it's going good. Things delicious. Thank you. He gets to us. I was like, it's delicious. Quick question, though. Any pointers on approaching this beast? And he's like, oh, yeah. And he comes over and he grabs the oyster and he shoves the shiv, whatever this thing is that I have on the back, which I was not expecting. I don't know how to shuck an oyster. I've never done it before. But apparently you can go in through the back and it's a lot easier. You would think that you would go at the front, like where maybe like you pry it in where it closes down. That's what I was doing when I was getting them open, and it was fine. But there was like an area that he was able to get into at the back, and it cracked it open, and then you were able to just pull it apart.
I guess that makes sense because, like, if you clean clams, you cut it from the back. You cut the hinge in the back, and that actually is much easier to open that way.
Oh, I only cooked them and let them open themselves when they've gotten hot.
Oh yeah, no. So like, if you're gonna clean like clams to make like like. I guess clams casino or like fried clams, however you want to call it or whatever like that. You cut it from the backside.
Yeah.
It's much easier to cut it open that way. You cut it from the backside and then pop the 2 halves open,
Yeah. And so while we were off to the races after I talked to this guy, it was smooth sailing from that point on. And other ocean metaphors. But the shrimp were delicious too, but the crab was where it's at. When you get I'm pretty good at getting crab meat out of crab leg.
You're pretty good at crabs. Got it.
I'm good with crabs. I have methods, and I am very methodical about approaching the leg.
When one has methods, I imagine they would be methodical.
Yeah, and my goal obviously is like I want the largest single piece that I can achieve.
Yes.
Right. And I've gotten pretty good at it. And there were some that were, it was touch and go for a minute, but they came out nice and smooth.
Anthony just grabs a cluster of crab legs. He just like flicks it with his finger, and like a whole crab just pops out. How?
And it's just a bowl of just like lump crab meat.
It's just a bowl of like 8 individual strips of crab leg and 2 perfect crab like claws. Like
that's
how?
Right. But anyway, really, the moral of the story is 5 days there, 5 days of crab.
I would be disappointed if it was any less.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm glad that we're on the same page when it comes to crab. I actually didn't know where you stand.
Vis-a-vis crabs.
Awesome. Al, what's next? Something happened this week.
E3?
E3 happened this week.
Could you imagine?
I can't.
It just happened.
Unreal.
Who would have thought?
When I say E3, I'm really mostly focused on the Xbox showcase.
Sure. Just to be clear, I watched 0 minutes of E3.
Okay. Got it. But you saw some announcements.
Well, yeah, no, I saw some snippets on Twitter during the course of a couple of days. Went back when a handy Game Informer had a little portal that you launch onto, and it's like, hey, look, here's the things that happened on E3. So, okay, cool. Let me scan through this real quickly, and a couple of things just popped into my mind, and I'm just going to lob out a couple of them. You give me your thoughts. Give me whether or not you want thoughts on this,
sure.
And then, we'll discuss or not discuss. Oh, fuck.
Was that
what?
Was that at me?
No, my phone's being a dick. It wants me to like update, and I was like,
"Get out!
Can I just
jerk?"
Yeah, I was like, "Okay, can I just like defer this like conversation till later?" And I just tried to X out, and it's like, no, it literally like launched a little like thing saying, "No, make a decision on when we're gonna do this, fucker." Before you go to any other screen,
no.
like, oh Jesus, okay, let's just defer that to an hour.
We were nice the first time, yeah.
Okay, so The Witcher.
What announcement came out there? I don't know.
Oh, I was going to say, do you want to discuss or not?
Yes, discuss.
Witcher Season 2. There was a little teaser video that came out, Witcher Season 2. It's about 8 seconds long. It features predominantly Ciri, and they show her. She looks like she's a little bit worked up, and you see little snippets and flashes of just like things happening, things going on, people, whatever. It's like, okay.
This is a new teaser, not the one that we already got?
I think it was new. I'm pretty sure it was new.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't aware, or I don't recall a teaser, but I saw a tweet that was from like the other day, and it had the video embedded in it. And
it could be new.
Fairly sure it was new, and it was like 8 seconds long or 10 seconds long. Or something
5 days ago. Oh yeah, I didn't see this one.
I didn't think so, but like, not that there was anything to really go about it. It's just like, hey guys, remember this is coming. They wrapped production a bit ago. It's going to come out later this year. So.
Nice.
I don't think they've officially dated when it's coming out, but it's gonna.
Does it have a subtitle?
I think it's just season 2.
Season 2, yeah, looks that way. Cool. Oh, I'm excited for that. I really enjoyed the first season, and I've actually watched it twice.
Yeah, I know. I remember you said a few weeks back you rewatched it. I will probably rewatch it in the coming months just to refresh, because it does feel like it's been a while. I mean, it's been 18 months or whatever. So,
did you watch Outlander?
No, Dominic watched. I don't know if he watched all of it. I think he's on the last season of it. So, but he watches that. I've never watched.
You should watch that.
Okay.
So we could talk about that. We could just do a separate Outlander podcast. Very much enjoy that show.
just an Outlander podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll only be able to record when I'm able to ship in bottles of the Sazerac, which is the.
Yeah, I don't remember if Dominic got a bottle or if he just.
Mine is long gone.
I think he got one. I'm not sure. So yeah, I don't know. Outlander is one of those ones that like way down the line maybe I'll take a look at. But
sure. All right, so The Witcher done.
Yes. Okay. Elden Ring.
Yeah, that's a thing. We can talk about that for a minute. I don't really care. I know a lot of people do. It's fine. Okay. It looks interesting. Maybe if I'm really itching to play something, and there's nothing else, I might get it. But I feel like this is a game that I will more likely eventually play when it either comes to Game Pass, I assume at some point way down the line, or like a games with gold type of situation. Like when it becomes available through one of the services I already have, I might play it. I don't think I'm actually going to go out of my way to play it.
Okay. I have not played any of the From Software games. We both really enjoyed Jedi Fallen Order, which is in that realm of like gameplay and stuff. I've been intrigued by the phenomenon of Dark Souls, but I've always been intimidated. I was a little intimidated going to Jedi Fallen Order. I ended up really enjoying it, but part of it was probably because lightsabers and Star Wars, and like I got over my initial. But I get a little bit of anxiety sometimes going into games like that, where it's like, oh, this game is so fucking hard, and it's like, well, you're not really selling me.
You know what though? I'm totally with you. I'm curious though. Like I had no issue with Jedi Fallen Order. I never found it like to the point where it was like stopping me from playing because it was so hard. I'm curious, like, is it on the easy side compared to those type of games?
I believe so. Well, the thing is, I think if I'm remembering correctly from what I've seen, just other people talking about it, I don't think you get to choose difficulties. I think it's just you're going to play the game. Like Jedi Fallen Order, there was a ramping, so I started it on easy or medium, whatever it was, and played it. And by the time I was done, I felt like I kind of mastered it. And then I upped the difficulty, and I was able to play it on Grandmaster eventually, right? But like, if I just jumped in and that was my only option, I might have turned that game off. It was really fucking hard. But like, I obviously had the baseline of skills and like the knowledge of some of the tricks of the trade that I needed. So by that time, I was okay.
Sure.
But I don't know. I could be misremembering that. Someone might be yelling somewhere like, "No, you idiot!" There's like difficulties, but like I thought that was the point. Was like you just play the version it tells you to play.
Yeah.
Now maybe this one would be different, but what struck me as interesting was one, I saw a little. I didn't watch the video, but I saw like still shots from the trailer or whatever. And there's the whole George R. R. Martin involvement, which is kind of intriguing. So.
But isn't it that he wrote like the lore, like the behind the scenes lore, but not the story of the game?
Yeah, I think he was like he built like the world and the lore and mythology. I'm sure he contributed in some way to the story or whatever, was involved in like, hey, George, what do you think about this? Or pitch some ideas, or hey, this would be a cool storyline to follow. You know what I mean? Like, but like, I don't think he literally wrote the script for it now.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you want to play it?
I'd like to see a trailer of it.
Can you see the reviews?
Yeah, it's kind of like you, where it's like it's not going to like buy it at launch, but it's the type of thing where like I'm just curious enough where I'm like that would be kind of cool to take a look at. I don't know.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, like I said, I'll probably play it when it becomes available through one of the channels that I have.
Okay. Free Guy. That's still a
trailer
thing.
For that.
Yeah. This movie is going to set a record for most trailers ever, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to pass somehow even, like, Endgame, which gave us 47 different trailers.
At the end, it's actually going to be some ridiculous ploy where you actually just stitch the trailers together and it's the movie. And they never
it would actually be cool at this point if they could just release, like, a treasure hunt with the movie. And, like, they're not going to exist, like, release it all at once, but, like, over the course of the couple of years they were supposed to have released this, like, whoever is able to stitch the movie together into the proper order gets some sort of prize. Like, they get to get like 1% of the box office or something like that.
I like it.
Make it interactive, make people want to engage with it,
I do want to see it. It seems like it's going to be stupid and silly. And
it looks really dumb. I wonder if the funny and fun will outweigh the dumb, because this one, there's an element of try hard to it. Mm-hmm. Like, that's just, like, the aura that seems to be surrounding it.
It weirdly feels like it should be animated, and it should be voice acted by him.
There's just something that, even though it seems like a high concept and, like, they're throwing stuff at it, like, there's something about it that feels B-movie to me.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Which is weird, because, like, it feels like high concept in a way that, like, a big-budget movie would try to be. Like, if we're not going to have an IP-based thing, like, you would think this would be, like, a big-budget, like, A-list, we're going to throw everything at this full court press type of thing. But I don't know. Something about it feels kind of B-movie-ish.
Yeah, I'm
like, I'll see the movie. I'm interested, but like, I don't know that I'm excited for it.
But yeah, my expectations are not high. I am sure that there's going to be a few laughs along the way, only because honestly, he doesn't even have to do anything. He can make a single Ryan Reynolds can make a single facial expression, and I'll start laughing.
Yeah, it's just a weird experience where it's like when they first released the trailer, it's like, oh, that sounds like a cool concept. Like just like the pitch sounds like a cool idea.
Yeah,
I don't know how it's going to work out in theory, like in practice. Like if it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that's a super cool idea, just doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but it was one of those things that when the movie started getting delayed last year,
is it not a Netflix thing? Am I wrong about that?
it might be one of those ones that like Netflix like bankrolled, but it's going to be released concurrently
it's a
theater and Netflix.
Okay.
Short run in the theater before it goes Netflix exclusive or something like that. I'm not 100% sure though. I don't know. But
it could also not be entirely. It's just something that maybe I thought based on what I was looking at.
Yeah. But anyway, it's one of the. It's that the lifespan of that movie has been so weird to me. Like,
yeah,
between that,
it should have been out 2 years ago. Like,
yeah, like it's just how long it's been delayed and all that. I totally forgot it existed, and then like there's been 8 different versions of trailers the last few months. It's like, well, either do the movie or don't. Like, you know, you clearly have completed the movie, so either release it or don't.
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil television show.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit.
Did we? I have no recollection of that.
Yeah, the Netflix one, right?
Well, that's the thing. There seems to be 2 and then also a movie.
Oh, I don't know about the movie, but there's an animated, like the Netflix one that I watched the trailer for. It looked cool. I was interested in that one.
Animated?
Well, yeah.
Okay, there's a live action show.
Okay, that I don't know about.
That's what I'm talking about. So there is an animated show, which maybe we did talk about that one. I don't 100% remember, but like I know that exists.
Oh, did this come out of like the Capcom conference? I didn't see anything out of that one.
I guess. I don't know. I just know it came out alongside all of the E3 stuff, and they announced like the main cast, I think. And
Resident Evil live action series on Netflix, what we know so far. Okay.
Forgot that it was Netflix, but that's
Infinite Darkness was the animated one, I think.
Okay. It sounds like this one is going to kind of, in some way, shape, or form, be like trying to reflect some of the video game stuff. I don't know if it's like a reimagining.
See, honestly, if they do that, I'll be so in. Because I think the video games are so wild. I just think it would be super fun to watch a movie. Because I actually, lately I've decided, like, I started playing 7 with Brian. If you listen to Game Bites, you might have heard us talking about that. But, like, I'm coming to the realization that I think I like to experience Resident Evil. I don't like the stories. I don't like to play it.
Yeah, like, I enjoyed some of my time with 4. But I wouldn't say that I really necessarily liked the gameplay. There was something that induced a lot of anxiety in me that I couldn't shoot the gun while moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I totally am on board, even though I don't like it, but I understand it's simulation of reality where like your aim isn't as good when you're moving as when you're standing still or when you're like locked against something to like brace against or whatever, right? But like I hated that I could not physically shoot my gun unless I was stock still.
Yeah. Yeah, they've gotten away from some of that stuff, but yes, I understand that.
I'm just like, okay, make me totally inaccurate. It's a 1% chance of the bullet hitting. I hate that when there's a zombie standing 4 inches from my face, I have to stop moving to shoot it. But regardless, what caught my attention with this was Lance Reddick is cast as
I know that name
villain Albert Wesker, and he is a tremendous villain.
Ooh, cool. That's awesome.
I've mentioned this show a bunch of times on this show. I know you've never seen it. It's one of those ones that if you ever want to get around to something to watch, it's easy because you can watch it in 22-minute bursts or whatever. He is tremendous on the show Corporate. That show was so good.
All right.
I hated how short the run was. I hated how they totally sprung the final season on me out of nowhere last summer. And I was like, I'm sorry, when did we discuss that this show was ending and that
I did not greenlight this
2 days ago? And he's a good villain. Like, I mean, like, because like he was a
good actor.
He was a good guy in The Wire, and he's a good guy in his bit role in the John Wick movies.
I love him in John Wick.
Really good actor.
That one scene, that look that he gives when he goes and grabs the shotgun is just perfect.
Oh, and he's a very strong facial actor too. He does some tremendous facial work in Corporate. He is a great actor. He's a tremendous villain as the CEO of Hampton DeVille, Christian DeVille.
That's cool. I'm in. I'm already in. You sold me. I'm watching this.
Yeah, I'm a little curious. This might end up being a train wreck. I don't know any of the names of any of the other main cast, But I saw Lance Reddick playing Wesker, and I was like, okay.
It can't be more of a train wreck than when I went to see the original Resident Evil movie with my grade school buddies. Right? We got tickets bought. We went to go see it. We watch it. We leave the theater not knowing. I mean, this is before we're looking into like we're deeper into the movies. And me and my buddy, when we're leaving, we're like, that wasn't even remotely close. I feel robbed.
Well, I was to say it was one of those ones where it's like kind of like we were talking about, like without remorse, where okay, something goes wrong in an underground thing, and people are going to go investigate. Those are the only similarities. Yeah, right? Like, isn't that like the gist of it, right?
Yeah. It's not, but like
I saw the movie, but I'm saying like that was the gist of the first game.
No,
I played the first one, right?
Like, that was the gist of the movie. The first game was it was maybe a little bit of lab work, but we're mostly like centered around the mansion and stuff, and like how like the creepy vibes of that area and like the.
Hey, you got a mansion sequence in the first movie.
Wasn't it for like a second?
There's the big culminating fight.
Sure, but either way, it's not the same. It's not even remotely close in story. It's just
and also
like
flashbacks to like what happened before.
Sure, man, I should rewatch those. Or sure, I should rewatch that one. I am curious whatever happened with the rest of the series.
I mean, the first one was bad, but I feel like it's like a good bad movie where it's like I'm enjoying how bad this is. Like, because like there was some legitimately like shocking or thrilling sequences, like the fucking laser hallway.
Yeah,
I remember the first time I watched it, like that sticks with you. It's like, okay, that was something else.
How many did they make?
8,
Jesus.
something like that.
Really? I saw like 1 or 2 of them.
I saw the first 3. I forget the names of all of them.
There's a chance that I've seen the first 3 because now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like it's one of those things. If I go back and watch it, I'll be like, oh right.
So the first one was a good bad movie. The second one probably not good, but more action, just generally more stuff going on. There's like different storylines. Weirdly, Jared Harris was in that movie, and he's way too good of an actor for that. But I guess at that point, no one knew who Jared Harris was, so fair enough. The third one, I think, was Apocalypse, and I recall that because the entire thing takes place Mad Max style, like in like a caravan crossing like desert wasteland.
Yes, I didn't see that one. I think that's where I did trail off around there.
The second and third one both had Oded Fair in it, which that was kind of fun because he's just kind of generally game for doing ridiculous shit in a movie. So he just traded in his machete, or not a machete, but his scimitar from the Resident Evil, from the Mummy movies for a machine gun in this, because either way he's killing undead things in the desert, whatever.
Sure.
Though that was definitely the last one. I've seen little snippets of the ones after that, but those I definitely saw those 3, and there's at least 3 or 4 more after that.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. All right, well, I'm in for this. I want to watch that. What else you got, E3 wise?
No, that's it. That's all I got. I mean, there's like so many more things that happened, but those are the only things I got.
The only thing that I really like dialed in for was the Microsoft conference, the Microsoft / Bethesda conference, which I was just like,
did they do a Q&A? Did anyone tell us when we're going to get consoles? Or
yeah,
there's like 4 of them sold on GameStop today.
There's nothing about that. However, when you do eventually get your ultimate game, they were like, here's 30 games, 27 of which are available on Game Pass, like when they come out. It's like, that's awesome. Like I can play pretty much everything you showed me. And then
well, is that like the, hey, we're sorry you couldn't get one, so here you'll be able to play a game now? If you ever get your hands on a console?
That's just like their Game Pass plan, their ultimate world domination plan. But man, I'm pumped. The specifically they did show off some Halo multiplayer, which I'm very excited, as you can expect. But we're gonna hopefully, it says holiday, whatever that actually means. We'll find out, I guess. But there was other cool stuff which I'm not gonna get into here. If you want more on E3, there will be a Game Bites episode around this stuff within the coming weeks. But yeah, the last thing I think that we have to discuss for news and nuggets is Loki.
Correct.
Right? Mischief Watch.
Nice. Okay.
All right, then we're gonna call it. Man, I gotta say, first episode, intrigued, curious. It's fine, solid, 6,
Okay.
7.
Well, it's funny because you texted me a little while before we started the show, and you're like, "That was way better than the first episode." In reference to the second one, I was like, "Oh, did you not like the first one?" So it sounds like
I didn't
liked it,
dislike
didn't love it. See, I thought of the 3 Marvel shows, that was by far the best first episode.
That was yeah. As far as like strong storytelling, I think it was good. The thing is, I guess I'm already excited. I basically needed 2 episodes off the bat. I was too excited. I wanted them right then and there. Luckily, I didn't have to wait long from the time that I watched the first to the second. But
also, we got way more of an idea of what's going on in this.
Yeah, I agree. There wasn't they weren't really burying it, and they got
not that I don't
dove right into the lore, which was cool.
I was saying not that I don't mind like the trail of breadcrumbs thing to get us to like the main plot, but at least you had some concept of what's going on. Okay, Loki variant, time variant, authority. They're trying to stop him and all variants. Okay, got it.
Sure,
that's what's going on, and we're going to see how those two things.
It was very clear cut. Yeah,
we don't know why specifically, and this and that until like the final seconds of the episode, but like we get the gist of okay, they're here to keep everyone in line. Got it. And that's all I needed right now.
Very much seems like this is what's going to drive the next phase of the MCU. Like the story that is unfolding here is like the catalyst. It seems like would be my guess.
Well, I think it's funny looking at now through 2 episodes of what was it, 8 of these or something. I forget. I don't know.
I was going to ask you that if you knew how many episodes.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure we can look it up pretty quickly.
Sure.
But
no one knows.
An undetermined. Listen, all these things are across timelines, and there's a past, a present, and a future, and they're all intersecting perpetually in the sacred timeline. And it doesn't really matter.
Show's over already.
How many episodes exactly? And one of them it's never began. So,
sure. We're in that sweet spot.
When you look at the 3 shows, what we've gotten of the 3 shows so far, it's very obvious that between this and WandaVision, we're getting a look into the macro of what the rest of it's going, and then the micro was with Winter Soldier. And
which is cool. I do like
Falcon.
That bounce.
I almost said Captain Falcon.
Falcon Punch.
Wildly different show. They're the boots on the ground. Hey, there's a new guard of Avengers, and we're going to see what that looks like and what the world looks like post Snap. And this is, oh god, there's so many things going on in like the 4th dimension and flow of time. And that's where we're really going to be concerned with from the majority of the stuff is that ethereal, non-conventional space meta type stuff. It's like, okay, fine, fair enough.
There was really, you know what? There was a moment in the first episode that just like the weight of what they're about to explore really hits me. And that's when he opens that drawer and there's just a bunch of Infinity Stones in it, and the look on his face and the way that it hits him, I feel like it hits you, the audience, and like, oh, this is so much bigger.
Yes.
and it kind of ties into that whole like how many I looked through a million, however many,
15 million possibilities, and there's
just
only one.
The one where it plays out. Like that ties in very nicely to the storytelling of this.
Also,
being that ultimate timeline,
it reassures many people, myself included. I mean, there's people who have been more jaded about it than me, I would say, on the lesser end. But like, okay, well, how do you outdo Thanos and his plot? Like what's going to keep us? Like, how do you raise the stakes on that? And you raise the stakes on that by saying, "Ha, those Infinity Stones are toys. We use them as paperweights." Like, what a gut punch that line is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, some of those guys used it as paperweights.
10 years.
No, I couldn't believe like the entire universe.
Yeah.
Hung in the balance of those stones. It obsessed Loki. It leads to his rise, fall, and then death, right after redemption.
Right.
And it's reduced to an actual literal punchline.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Well, and then there's also like it does like there is a lot going on inside of the story so far of like you start to question things, right? Like, okay, you're supposed to take it. The idea with I feel like the first episode and like how the second episode starts is you're supposed to take at face value like how this timeline works and the overseers of that timeline and like, okay, this is the thing, this is what's right. And then they start to introduce the question of, is it right? And that's where it's starting to get interesting, right? Like, because we don't know. Loki wants an audience with the time lizards that he calls them. I don't know I forget what they're actually called, but like
timekeepers,
the timekeepers, and it's like, and he's like, oh, like yeah, you'll get that if you go through with this. And it's like, but he's never met them. Mobius has never met the timekeepers, so it's like, oh, this is really something interesting there. And I'm just curious to see how it's going to play out. And obviously, well, not obviously, but what I'm gathering is that this sacred timeline will break by the end of the series, right? And that will lead us into the Doctor Strange film because of its subtitle,
Multiverse of Madness.
right? And right now there isn't, because they are maintaining a single timeline.
Yeah, that's probably a good point.
So it would. My theory is obviously that it will break at some point throughout this, probably in the finale of this. But that not necessarily being the bad thing, right? Almost as if it's like we're breaking away from like a tyranny of like this, like these
it's Deus. It's Deus again.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm just really curious, right? Because there is a big concept here.
Is the world on tramlines or is it not? And should either one inherently be desirable or desired?
Right. It's really cool. And the first episode was definitely I feel like it was a slower burn, and there was definitely some there was some fun stuff in there to keep you like hooked and entertained as far as Marvel does things. But I was ready to move. I was already sold and kind of bought in, and I kind of got it right pretty quickly. I was ready to move forward a little bit faster, which is just on me.
I found it's funny because I found that less in this one than I did in the other two, and I think it's because they established and built the world so well, and they had such a clear vibe and aesthetic. Not to say the other ones didn't, but like it was. I felt there was a clearer and more richly developed like theory behind this world and what specifically they wanted to accomplish from a narrative and character standpoint and from a vibe aesthetic standpoint. Like married together into one, because there's a hard pause where I think they had to reiterate some of what's happened, what's going on, because we know Loki, we've established him as a character, but remember, this isn't the most recent Loki you've seen. It's Loki from several years ago, which is why we have to rewatch the clip of him breaking the timeline. We have to watch him come to terms with the fact that he's not necessarily the one true Loki, and specifically that his story, while he will become the one true Loki as time flows, there's moments that we've seen that he hasn't come to terms with, and we catch him in this weird state of, because he finally proves that he's self-aware and that this whole mischief thing is a bit of a facade, and also that we know that he sees that he can be good. He watches the video of him on the Rainbow Bridge and sacrificing himself and dying, and he has to come to terms with his literal like mortality and the fact that he does so in service of good for once. That we know that he knows he can be that, but he isn't actually that yet. And like he's kind of trying to figure out, well, do I want to be that or not? And okay, so I'm capable of it. No one's gonna think that I'm selling out if I do that, but I'm still trying those shoes on. They don't necessarily fit yet. You know, they don't, like I gotta break them in. Which I think is interesting, and we set like this tone of this is like a very dark, somber, like this is a depressed Loki who's coming to terms with the fact that technically he's dead, even though he's still alive, and he very much wants to be alive, and yet these people very much want him dead. And it seemed like, well, no matter how much we like you, or you try and convince us or manipulate us or redeem yourself or whatever, this story probably has to end with you being dead because you're dead.
Right. Yeah, it's wild. There's that dark undertone, as there is with like, anytime you look a little bit past the surface. With like, I mean, obviously there's a dark story going on, but there's an even darker thing to what you're saying there, right? And like, I feel like that's pretty consistent throughout the Marvel universe, which I think is awesome, right? I think you just enjoy it like at face value if you just want to drop one of the movies on. But like if you really start to dig deeper into like what's happening, that's fairly consistent doing things like that throughout the cinematic universe. I really, first of all, I love Owen Wilson. I think I've established, like, I've always liked him, but I really do. I think he's I think he's so fun to watch. And he just seems to, he's one of those actors that seems to be having fun regardless of what role he's playing. Also,
he turned down the shtick just a little bit in this, which is...
Yeah, yes. But every once in a while that comes through. Like, I don't know, he cracks me up lately.
Yeah,
and I love.
Well, I think actually
future comedy that happens between the two of them in this dark space.
I think he's just being him instead of being like the Owen Wilson shtick, because
right,
like he is a funny guy and he doesn't have to go over the top with all of that. Like he can just be him and then like let it out in little doses here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Because like he has that inherent. I'm not necessarily 100% willing to give it to him, but like he might start to creep up onto the board of we need comedic actor here who can do a serious role for us in the movie that we make eventually, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because it's possible that he's just been typecasted to like, we want that Owen Wilson from that other movie.
Yeah,
right. Whereas like this is they giving him a little bit more of a range. I will say out loud laughing at one point in this last episode when Loki is stalling them by going through this whole thing. Don't go outside. It's a trap. This whole thing. He's like, hear him out. And he's like talking him through, and he's like, yeah. He's lying. Let's go. Like, that whole thing really cracked me up. I just thought it was like that was like only he can deliver it that way. Like that's an Owen Wilson line right there, and it was just so funny. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm very much looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Yeah. Well, the two of them have had great chemistry already, which is great. Just Tom Hiddleston seems to love doing this role. What popped to me in the first episode at the end was in the credits. He's an executive producer on this, which is the first time I've seen. I'm not saying that this is the only case, but of the three shows, I don't recall seeing the leads in either of the other shows as an executive producer credit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which to me shows a level of ownership that is important, because I wonder with a guy like him. I mean, I don't know anything about him, but like, he kind of strikes me as a little bit of the stereotypical like British thespian, and I kind of wonder if he would grow tired of the role eventually. And given that level of ownership, I wonder if that's what's kept him engaged.
Oh, interesting. I don't know.
He's a really talented actor. I really like him. You've seen Kong Skull Island. He's really good in that role. He was really good in The Night Manager, which I know I've talked about on the show a couple of years ago when I watched it. He is a really good actor. And I mean, he hams it up some in this role, obviously. It looks like he's having fun. I mean, the whole thing in Pompeii was ridiculous.
That was a blast, though.
He's just screaming at these poor villagers in Italian, like releasing goats, talking about the future and their imminent death, going nuts. It's like, okay, come on. But I was like also cracking up.
Doom of like as the ash is coming forward, and they're still just talking to each other.
Yeah, and you see each meteor strike is like landing just a little bit closer behind him.
That was good.
But also like in the quiet moments, like there's some real hurt. I feel like Paul Rudd and forgetting Sarah Marshall, there's some pain behind those eyes. It's like
there's only one thing for that.
I totally dig, and like there's that whole like I don't know if it's 60s or 70s like aesthetic that they're going for here with those like the entire brown color scale / orange color scale.
It's a future movie made in the 70s. That's what
it is. There's a very like Jetsons-y vibe to a lot of it. I love that
there's like there's like tape media, but everything's digital, but they also use files.
Yes, they have paper files.
I love it.
Which I think that part is a big like visual gag. The fact that they, first there was the printouts with the fucking perforated edges, the dot matrix printer. With, please sign and verify this is every single word that you've ever said. And he goes, what? And he puts another page and just the word one. Please sign this too. And it's like, okay, they have the technology and obviously the magic to do that, and yet it's on a fucking dot matrix 1990s like type printer. There's a guy with a rotary phone in the middle of an emergency.
Yeah, and how he's trying to dial it. That cracked me up.
Yeah, that like you said, there's like literal tapes that are being spooled, but then they have like fucking 3D holographic like images and all this advanced technology, time portals, all this sort of ridiculous stuff that like ultra taser that disintegrates people and all that. The little time knob thing that creates paradoxes in time, it feels like, but it was like kind of the stuff like John Wick, like where they have the that like a little office with all like stuff and it's all 80s and 90s computers, but all of them are dressed up with like ridiculous office attire and tattoos and piercings. Like I'm so confused by everything that's going on. They're on fucking black like command line screens with green text, and like they're sending out like blast like text to smartphones. I'm so confused by all of it.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's fun, man. I have a blast watching this stuff. I'm really looking forward. Like I love Like there was a scene in the second episode of an elevator going down slowly, and like just the structure that elevator was inside of, and I was getting lost. Like, I was fully immersed in the world that they were building there, and I was like, this is so cool. Like, this is like, it feels like a movie made with the spirit of like Dune or a Star Wars or something at that time, but with the sensibilities of modern filmmaking to make to make it feel more real, even though they did a pretty great job back then in those moments, like to recapture your imagination in a certain way. Kind of like, I don't know, I forget what it's called. It's like Tomorrowland or something like that. It's a ride in Disney, and you go through like the ages of like,
was it an Epcot one or something like that?
I don't remember, but like it's almost like that, where like that captures your imagination when you're in there, even though it's like cheesy and we're past the part that was the future when it was made. Like,
was that an actual Disney ride, or was it the thing from Batman: Mask of the Phantasm?
No, it's an actual thing. And yes, but I don't know. There's something about that like it really like it puts you. They do a good job of putting you in the space, and I don't know, it works so well. It's very aesthetically pleasing too.
Yes. Also, music A+.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, there's definitely some like vibes of Ragnarok, specifically that like kind of 80s like techno synth stuff. But there's other weird like creepy ethereal like stuff going on too.
Yeah, it's funny because it almost, if you had to slot this in, I mean, Loki's the character, so it has to go in the cosmic grouping of the movies, but it is starting to stand apart from that a bit, and that it's starting to surface that there is actually another branch of it, and those like of the time-based ones. So like, which is Doctor Strange, Loki, and like maybe and whatever else. Guardians totes the line a bit. Like, I don't know. There's it's interesting. So it feels like there's another branch that they've created with that that this one falls into. Nicely.
I guess now technically Ant-Man.
Yeah, I guess so. Ant-Man would fit well in there. And Endgame.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, obviously Endgame is like all of the aspects come together, right?
For sure. But I'm pumped. I can't wait to see where this goes. I'm also really excited for like the next movie we get to watch.
Yeah. Well, I guess that'll be Black Widow.
I'm very excited for the second movie we get to watch.
Which will be
Eternals? Oh, is it? Sure, that too.
What did you say?
Multiverse of Madness?
No, it's definitely the Eternals.
Eternals? Okay, that too. That's because that's something new. I'm less excited. I'm not. The only reason why I'm not pumped about the Black Widow movie is I'm not super thrilled about going back in time. And I don't know how it's going to tie in, but I shouldn't doubt them, right?
Yeah,
probably. They'll do something important, I'm sure. But
yes.
We'll see.
I hope so.
Yeah. It's not just going to be like a one-off movie that doesn't really fit. Which is, you know what it is? That's just how it feels from the trailers.
Yes. Well, it's because she's dead.
Yeah. That'll do it.
Actually, it'd be a hell of a thing if this somehow looped in with Loki, where this is like some other timeline, or if this can be possible because of the breaking of the sacred timeline.
Interesting. Oh, yeah, and you find out that that's like the world that movie is in is actually not the world that leads to Endgame.
That's too much for me right now.
All right. Anything else on Loki?
No, I'm just I'm pumped for next week's. It's nice that we actually get to. I know you didn't like the Wednesday release, and I'm a little skeptical on it too. I got done with work a little early today, so I was able to fit it in. But like, it's cool that it was on the day we're recording. This episode come out right after the most recent episode, not
versus
a week after.
Before. Yeah, I'm with you. Let's do some fun and games.
Okay, if you insist.
I do insist. What do you got? I can't just say what do you got, right? Because that kind of defeats the purpose.
It's a hell of a trick. It's over in one.
I almost got you. Hi. All right. So you have a movie prepared.
I do.
Right? Okay. Did this movie come out before the year 2000?
Yes.
Okay. Did this movie come out before the year 1990?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Okay. Did this movie come out before the year 1980?
No.
Okay. Cool. All right. So we've got an 80s movie. Is this movie a sci-fi movie?
Let me look on IMDb at what the official thing is.
I probably should have phrased that as, would you qualify this movie as a sci-fi movie?
There's a sci-fi element, but that would not be what I would say the primary category of movie is.
Okay. Is this an action movie?
Yes.
80s action movie. Is Schwarzenegger in this movie?
No.
Okay. All right. Ease up. Gotta ease up. Okay. It's an action movie, at least in the 80s. Are there... How can I... Oh. Is this a late 80s movie?
Define late 80s.
I will go like 88, 89.
No.
Okay. All right. So we're all right. Probably burning too much here, but it's fine. Was this a well-received movie?
Yes. That's 8, by the way. Just didn't give you an update on how many questions you asked.
That's fine. Does this movie have like an obvious, how can I phrase this? An obvious lead role?
Yes.
Okay. Is the lead a male?
Yes. It's an 80s action movie.
There's options. Okay. Is this movie based on a licensed property?
No.
Okay. Is this movie also a comedy?
No.
Okay, so we're pretty much.
That's 12.
Okay, so we got an 80s action movie. Is it starring one of those the quintessential 80s action heroes? It's not Schwarzenegger, but like of that type.
Define that better for me.
Oh.
Well, because I don't want to either betray too easily or betray you and lead you down the wrong.
No,
so
that's fair. Like Stallone, Seagal, Jean-Claude Van. Is it starring somebody that was in the Expendables?
Let me just double check. Well, because there's 3 movies, and by the end of the 3rd one, I don't remember who was
that's
in them all.
Fine.
So I don't want to answer this incorrectly. So just give me 2 seconds. Oh yes, he was in an Expendable.
Oh boy. Okay.
That was what, 14?
I don't know.
Or 13, sorry. I think it was 13.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. Alright. I feel like you would have known some of the core Expendables cast. The problem is now I don't remember who was in the Expendables either.
Well, see, that's what I was getting at. Like I saw the first movie, and I remember that one, and I saw the second and third one. But after a certain point, it all blurred together, and who the hell fucking remembers who was and wasn't. So.
Yeah. Does this? That's probably a stupid question. I'm not asking this, but I was about to ask: is this like? Is there a revenge plot? But I'm just not gonna bother. God. 80s action movie with an Expendables like as the lead. Not based on a licensed property, which was actually a help. Man, I'm action movie sci-fi light. Sci-fi light. What would make it have aspects of a sci-fi male star? Is there a lot of like martial arts fighting?
No.
Okay. It's a big. Is it a shooty movie? Is there a lot of shooting going on?
Well, Schwarzenegger's not in it, so I can use this as an analogy. Like, it's not Commando, but
Sure.
like there is gunplay at times.
Sure.
So that's 15.
Oh man. Does the movie take place in America?
The majority of the movie does not take place in America. Don't look at your wall of movies.
I turn back. Ooh. Okay. Majority of I don't know if any of this movie takes place. Sci-fi light. Mel Gibson in this movie?
No.
Shit.
You're going Mad Max?
I was about to go down the Mad Max rabbit hole.
I believe that's supposed to take place in Australia.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's 17.
Oh boy. Jackie Chan? Is Jackie Chan in this movie?
No.
Damn! I don't know. I've got nothing. I've got...
You played yourself on that one because you asked about martial arts already.
Oh, good call. Good call.
18.
That's my bad. That's a waste. That was a waste.
So I thought you were going down the Bruce Lee rabbit hole with that one.
No. Well, I was kind of going with that originally. I had forgotten about Jackie Chan, and then I was like, hey, he was in a number of 80s movies that I really enjoyed.
See, to me, I just think of him starting with Rush Hour. You know.
Sure. I feel like I don't have. Oh right, we said there was some gunplay. Sci-fi light.
So let me reiterate the way I answered the question. It's not a sci-fi movie, but there's a sci-fi aspect. It's not sci-fi light. Well, I don't know what you mean by that, but like I just want to be clear. That's not what I said.
What I mean.
Okay. That's fine. I just want to be clear. That's not what I said. Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious about the sci-fi aspect though. I only have two questions. Well, I only have one question to guess. Right? Is that where we're at? I already asked you 18.
You asked 18. Yeah, actually, I don't know that I've ever come up to the 20 point. Is it 20 and then you just get a blind guess, or is the 20th have to be the guess?
The 20th has to be the guess.
Okay.
Man. Okay. Let's run through.
Okay.
All right. We've got an 80s action movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mid to early 80s action movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, but starring it's a male lead.
Yes.
Who is in the Expendables at some point or another.
Yes.
There's a sci-fi element.
Yep.
There's some shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit. Is he in the Expendables? Is this movie part of a series?
Yes. Remember, this is now your final.
Yeah. If this is okay. I don't. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
So close.
Lost Ark.
Raiders.
Wasn't that was Raiders 80s?
So the other day was the 40th anniversary of Raiders of the Lost
Ark.
Oh
my god!
1981.
Wow.
I can't believe that I stumped you on a movie that I know you love.
Yeah, I love it. I do love it.
Like, it wasn't like I picked something obscure you never saw, or like you're familiar with, but like you saw part of it one time when you were 8.
Yeah, like I burned too many questions on. And there was one point where I made a stretch of like I was hammering them.
Well, your first few questions were all good to like narrow it down.
Yeah,
and then I think you just had some unlucky guesses or questions. Obviously, you know now.
I got in the realm, though. I got in the universe.
Yes,
I'm happy with
that.
You did. I'm happy with that.
The problem is, you guys, The Last Crusade. That's like 1987.
Is it? Is that late?
Something like that. Yeah.
I was worried that. So I was under the impression that Raiders came out like 79, 80.
Yeah, I can understand that, but I think it came out right after Empire. Empire was 80.
Yeah. Okay.
Raiders was 81. And I think similar to Star Wars, that came out like every 3 years. I think it was like 81, 84, 87 or something like that.
I forgot to ask, which I probably should have, is do I like this movie?
I was wondering if you were going to ask that at some point. Now, I don't know that would have made you get the answer, but like,
yeah,
I gave you enough clues there where I was like, oh God, he's going to get it now because he got that one. And also, obviously, what made me pick this one was the other day seeing that I was like, if Anthony saw the 40th anniversary was the other day, he's going to get it like the third one. Like,
yeah, I didn't see that, but that's cool. All right. I'm okay. I'm okay with how this played out.
Action movie, sci-fi element.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember for the life of me if Harrison Ford was in the Expendables because then I was like, you know what? I think he might have been, and he is in the third one for like 5 minutes. Like,
that's what threw me off. Is actually that was a bad question on my part because I didn't consider that. Like, I've only watched like I may have seen all three of them. I don't even know. But like,
well, I wondered if you were going to jump down like the Bruce Willis thing. If you're going to go Die Hard,
sure,
because that was a more obvious one. I wouldn't know what.
You know what? The way that you danced around shooting made me move away from Bruce Willis.
Sure. And like they're shooting in this movie, but it's not that sort of movie. You know what I mean? Like
I agree.
The other thing was if you had asked, I think you would have definitely got if you had asked if the movie was contemporary to the time it was released. I kind of was afraid that
that would have been a good. That would have been a good one for this. That would have been super helpful.
I know. I was afraid when I said there's no other way to answer the question other than the way I did it, I think. When you asked, does the movie take place in the U.S.? And I said the majority of it doesn't. I wondered if you would think, okay, well, what's like an abroad, like traveling movie that takes place at least partially in the U.S.? Well, that movie takes place in the U.S. for like 8 minutes, and the rest of the runtime is globetrotting, you know?
Part of a series would have been good to ask earlier on, too.
Yeah, you really... I mean, listen, it's what got you in the realm, because you had literally asked something in some way, shape, or form about every 80s action star except Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's fun. I had a good time with that one. That was a good pick.
Yeah, I'm glad it went down to the wire like that, because I was a little afraid. I was like, man, if he saw that this was the anniversary the other day, then he's going to get
That's it, yeah.
under 10.
That's funny. All right, well, hey, with that, let us get into our flick of the week. Wrath of Man. Released in 2021, rated R with an hour and 59-minute runtime. Your completely incomprehensible IMDb synopsis. The plot follows H, a cold and mysterious character working at a cash-truck company responsible for moving hundreds of millions of dollars around Los Angeles each week.
That's like 20% accurate.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said incomprehensible. I should have just said
incomplete,
misleading, incomplete.
Yeah.
It's barely the plot of the movie. That being said, why don't you give me your tweet-length review?
Much darker and more serious overall, and lighter on the laugh-out-loud comedy from the other Ritchie movies, but still a heck of a flick. 7 out of 10.
Oh, look at us. Wrath of Man is a brutal, over-the-top, and unforgiving wild ride. Set in a sort of alternate Guy Ritchie universe devoid of the expected charm, it still stands on its own. 7 out of 10.
Oh, wow. So,
I like when we have the same... Yeah, when we're on the same exact page.
Look at us. Who would have thought?
Not me. Oh, boy. I want to start off somewhere.
Okay, that's
and that place is here.
That's the second Perd Hadley joke in this episode.
All right.
Or I forget, was mine on air or before? I forget.
I think it might have, I'm not sure. It might have been before. All right. Jason Statham, this is not the first time I've seen him do this. Jason Statham is able to wear two different sets of clothing that I cannot wear. First.
Only two?
Two specific ones that I really can't do. Okay? The first of which is the sweater with the bulky collar and the big buttons. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he wore like a cable knit sweater.
He
kind of in the same family as the Chris Evans from Knives Out.
Yes, exactly.
But with buttons.
He can wear that. I got one of those sweaters in a Stitch Fix once.
That's a let's just be honest. That's a shirt that you need to have like a really good physique for.
Oh, absolutely. I put that sweater on and I just look like a ball of yarn. It's not,
which is funny because it's so bulky and thick that it's not like it's like showing off the ripples of your musculature. But if you're fat, you don't look good in that shirt.
No, it's not at all. Just pile of yarn. The other one is he wears like these tracksuits.
Yes.
Right? If I were to wear a tracksuit, I would look like Gru from Despicable Me.
I was going to say you would just look like everyone who lived on Staten Island when you.
That's fair. It's too much. You look at these people, I'm just like, it's not right.
I'm going to mention a third one.
Yeah, what do you got?
Not to pile on, but you started the topic. But and he doesn't wear it in this one. But I was going to say pants, no shoes, no shirt, and skating in motor oil.
Sure. Yeah, that's going to raise a lot of eyebrows. If that's the attire I'm going out in. He's a very fit human being.
He sure is.
So it gives him a few more options.
Yes, that's correct.
Granted, if he's at a counter, if he's working at a pizzeria and he's got an apron on, I don't trust that the pizza's very good. Whereas if I'm
no, but
behind the counter,
he's still gonna look better though. Like
he'll look fine.
You're gonna look like you make better pizza.
That's right.
But he's gonna look better just as far as like general presentation.
Oh man. The only man that can come on this podcast and make Al put his shirt back on.
Fair. I would if we got Jason Statham on the show, I'd put a shirt on, it's fun.
You just pour motor oil yourself. Did I do it right?
Listen, all I'm gonna say is I'm definitely stronger than him because I'm like 6 inches taller and like 100 pounds heavier. Like I have physically more muscle on me.
Sure.
But I also have very much more fat than he does too.
Oh my god. Okay, so this movie, very dark. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my run through it. I was definitely like, I thought it was suffering a little bit of an identity crisis early on, but it was really just the only place that he was having fun was with the dialogue, which you can expect from those movies. It seems.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it does not fit with The Gentleman or Snatch or Lock, Stock. Like you see elements of like common DNA, but those movies are like capers. Like there's definitely some dark, people die and all that shit, right? But like there is some fun to be had, even some like black comedy. And this is basically only black comedy, and even that in very rare instances.
Very little, yeah. So what struck me? So let's like out of the gate, we the opening of the movie is the first armored car robbery, right?
Yes.
What blew me, what I love about that, there's a lot of great camera work in this movie, like amazing camera work.
Which again, that's some of the DNA of the Ritchie films,
right? But that whole first sequence, like it takes place at a fixed point in the truck.
And it pivots, right?
It doesn't move that much, or at all.
Well, I think the camera might pivot from like between them.
Maybe early on, but by the time we get to the stop at the stop sign, the camera doesn't move again. And I think that's really cool. And it's shot in such a way where it's like you, as the viewer, or at least I found myself like craning my neck trying to look around the scene, but I couldn't see what was going on. Intentionally so. Like they don't want you to see those things yet. And like you're getting a glimpse of it like in just like a sliver of what's happening because it's blocked by like the view of the seat. Like it makes you, that was a very, it was very claustrophobic. It was, I feel like it's the effect that that some other directors try to get, when they bring the camera in super tight and keep it like in the crowd, like moving around with people. And it's, I find that to be unsettling, disorienting, and not really get the point across. This did that like close quarters thing, like immersed in the situation in a really smart, really easy to digest way.
Yeah, scenes that take place in the trucks feel claustrophobic, which they should because it's a confined space, right? And it's them against whatever's going on outside. And it's obviously there's a couple of different instances of that, right? But it's them versus what's outside. So it feels like the walls of the truck aren't just holding them out. In fact, they may not succeed in holding them out, but it feels like it's holding them in. Right.
Yeah. It's really cool. So like going from that, we get into Statham's character getting the job, right? Getting the job at the I forgot the name of the company, but at this armored truck company. And it's obvious at this point, right? They're not burying, like he's got
clearly infiltrating
to him. Yeah, he's so clearly like he's there for a purpose. You know that, okay, obviously this is a movie. It's called Wrath of Man. Like it's coming down to some scenario where like he's trying to get the people that do, right? I don't know why.
Yeah, there's going to be a man who enacts wrath.
Right. Right. That's actually what it says on the credits. Jason Statham, man who enacts wrath. That's how he's credited.
Oh, is this like Tenet, where like he's the protagonist?
In
the credits. It's just Jason Statham, man (parentheses) who did the wrath.
Yeah. And then like what was it? Eastwood, man who got the wrath.
Man who received the wrath.
Man who received wrath 1.
First man who received wrath. Last man who received wrath. Josh Hartnett, Boy Sweat Dave.
What is that? Voice Wendy. What would you call? What would he be credited as? Collateral damage.
I was saying like, fuck the term I'm looking for is escaping me. I say like the obvious fool, basically. You know, like the dude who is clearly going to get got because he's such an idiot.
Yeah. Oh, this tool's dead. That's the first thing when he's on screen for the first time. First thing that pops in mind. Okay, so at some point during this movie, you're going to die.
Yeah, the only miracle is that he didn't die in the opening scene, right? He was in the truck that got in like the prologue, right? Yeah,
for sure. But okay, so he gets that job. You're like, okay, you know, he's obviously our lead character, the title of the movie, and he's on the cover. Like, obviously, he is trying to get to the bottom of something. It's clearly whatever happened affected him in some way, right? Don't know exactly what. Maybe you might be able to get a hint of it if you were able to decipher the low volume dialogue that happens, or the quick dialogue that happens in the opening scene about the kid being shot.
Oh yeah, he says what civilian? There's a civilian.
He shot a kid. He shot a kid.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I just remember them saying something about like there was like one civilian casualty or something like that.
Yeah. So like that whole like I think what's really cool is like okay, let's not pretend. They're like we're not pretending that like we you just know if you watch any movie you know where this is going, right? Mm-hmm. What they did do really well was up until the point where the first like split timeline happens of like of actually jumping time to tell another part of the story, they don't tell you that they're doing it, and that was done really well, I thought.
Well, I mean, they give you that as a new chapter, right?
Yeah. Well, I actually have a note here that says, I guess, and now ... chapters, because it actually the movie goes on for quite a while before the first like chapter thing is shown.
Well, because there was only, like 3 or 4 chapters?
If that, yeah.
Well, I'm thinking something like Kill Bill had, like, 7 chapters. Something
right.
Or 5 chapters, whatever.
Yeah. But, so that was cool. So, like, yeah, I thought that was interesting how, like, we got this. So, the way that the story is playing out, it just seems like it's H's day off. And he's going with his son to do something. And he's annoyed because, like, his guys, which you realize they know him. I think we got that. We found out when the second robbery happens and he takes the cover off of his face and the guys just back off, which was a great scene, by the way. That was some of the slapsticky stuff that he got to play, and that was some comic relief in how that.
Well, that scene was so great to me too because in the moment it introduced to me like I suspected it was they know him, right? Because we know that, but the way that the movie has been set up so far and the way that the story has been delivered to us and the way that we've seen the characters interacting with the story, there's also a moment where I'm like, fuck, is his reputation that good that they all see him and they're like, oh shit, it's the guy. Like, you know what I mean? And like, they're all book out of here. This is the guy who's been shooting up all the other truck robbers. Like, holy shit.
And it could have been anything, right? At that point, it could have been anything, but then
because we haven't been introduced to that crew yet, so we don't know. Like, if we had been introduced to them first, we would know, obviously. They recognize their boss, like.
Right? But then they introduce them. Like they reintroduce them with him talking to the one guy on the phone, right? Being like, "Hey, like we need you to do this. The other guy can't make it in car accident, whatever." When they did that, the way that dialogue played out, it made it seem as if it were after that moment.
Yes, and the other cool part about it, the other cool part about it, right, is even if you do say, "Oh, they know him," well, there's clearly the element of shock where they weren't expecting him to be on a truck,
right?
So they have no idea, and then you come to realize, they have no idea he's doing all of this.
Right.
This wasn't like an inside job to get the money.
No.
Because, like, it's something totally different, which that's a whole, like, wrinkle in all of this, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. But so we get that jump, which we don't realize at the time, back in time, where he's casing a job, and he's going to get burritos, which he doesn't like. And that's where we get that breakdown of like it's his son that's getting killed in that scene. What I wasn't expecting out of that scene, I was expecting like after you piece it together before it happens, right? You know where it's going. You start to connect the dots. It's like, oh, okay, so this is the robbery. We already know that it was his son in the car, so the son's going to get killed. That's how it all goes down, right?
Yeah. By the time you get to the point of realizing that it's happening right outside the thing and he's out there, it's like, oh, okay, that's why he's going to have wrath. His son's going to die.
Right. That's where the wrath ensues. But like what's cool about it all, what I like is that like they keep circumventing it. It's like, okay, there's something elusive here. Oh, here's what it is. You figured it out, and then they play it out, right? Oh, there's something elusive here. You figure it out, then they play it out. It's like, so what's the gotcha? Like, okay, so I guess by the time he gets there, they'll have left. The gotcha is when he's running at them, and they just shoot him down. Well, they shoot Jason. They shoot Mr. Wrath down, and he looks dead, and he's staring at the guy that did it. That is a great scene.
Mr. Wrath.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a perfect amount of syllables.
And I think that's what introduces like the cool twist of that. Like the Eastwood thinks that he killed H.
Yes.
And he looks
understandable.
And that's right. But the whole like at the doctor recovery thing, like doing that rapidly, it was like that was exciting. It's like, oh, this is cool. Like he's got the drop on these guys, and that's awesome. And eventually this will come into play. And which it does inevitably in the end. But like,
also, can we talk about the plan real quick?
Sure.
Because it seems like a really well thought out and executed plan. Like they did it. It worked out really well. It was just a random bystander who throws a wrench into the mix. But also, they got away with it. Even with the wrench thrown in the middle. They took the money and left, right? Mm-hmm. And don't get caught.
Yeah.
Why did the plan involve them robbing the truck 100 yards from the office? And how does it work when they robbed it 100 yards from the office? Like, there's all those guys at the office.
That's a great question.
Shouldn't they have been able to roll out and, like, create a situation that would have been problematic for the truck robbers?
Yeah.
Because the way that you see it in the opening scene, you don't realize it's happening right down the block. But it is within eyesight of the gate.
Take. Yeah. That's a great question. I think that's an oversight.
Yeah.
Very strange. That hadn't crossed my mind. That kind of breaks immersion a bit. It's fine. No big deal.
Well, I mean, like, the thing is, I'm actually okay with that being a part of it, but like, there's got to be some sort of payoff later.
How about this? Nobody works in the armored car company. None of them are heroes. They're all like tough guys. They talk a lot of shit, but none of them are actually like willing to put their life on the line.
That's not true, actually.
Except the guys who shot.
The guys in the bullpen, signing in and out the guns.
True. I guess that's another hole. I don't know, man. I'm not sure.
Like they made a big deal about having the big fence out front. There's a guard check out front. You got to get buzzed in there. Then you got to get buzzed in again inside the building.
Oh. Is one of the protocols that when something happens that the depot goes into lockdown?
Fine, but we didn't even see that as a part of the payoff.
Sure.
Like, because if that's what happened, it's like, okay, well, I could
get behind that.
Like, they knew, hey, it's insured. We're not risking anyone's life. We're going to lock down and make sure no one comes to get the money here.
Yeah.
But, like, you got to see that activity. Or, like I said, they could have got away with it here, but if it paid off some way down the line later in the movie, then I'm okay with it. It's like, oh, so that was just a stupid plan. Like, you guys were ballsy, but you took an unnecessary risk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That was such a bummer. And the second time they show when they killed the two guys in the truck, super brutal. That was the other thing. Like the movie is very brutal. But
yes,
you feel it all. One thing that I assume is supposed to be a twist, but did not fool me for a second, is when super nice guy comes in. Was it Hank? I'm going to call you H. I'm Bullet. I'm like, this is the bad guy.
To me, it was immediately obvious. Okay, either him or Boys with Dave is the bad guy. Like, it literally can't be anyone other than one of the two of them.
Fair. To me, it wasn't even a question that it was this guy.
Okay.
I was like, the B is not for Bullet. Well, the B is for you're bad guy. I got it.
Well,
I see how this works.
Like you're right. He is too nice in like an office full of people who everyone's a raging asshole, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like that, it's almost like the borderline. I got one more day till retirement type of thing.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, Boys with Dave is such a selfish coward that also fits the prototype of who's the obvious traitor. So like that's
Yeah.
Like I said, I would have said 51-49. I'd agree with you that I thought Bullet was the most obvious. But to me, in the back of my mind is like, this is the type of Weasley dude who always tries to get one over,
Sure. Bullet becomes 100% the bad guy when Boy Sweat Dave says that he was supposed to be on that day. You just go, up, too obvious. It's not.
Yes. It's a red herring. Why didn't you ask me why I wasn't there? Like, it's like, okay, obviously they vetted you. Like,
like if you find that information out haphazardly throughout like some document that was somewhere, called in sick or did this, whatever.
Yes.
Like, then it's him.
But he literally comes out and announces it. It's like, nope, but I got a lot like ironclad alibi. It's like, oh, okay, I believe you. They do pretty rigorous background checks. Like,
he goes, it wasn't me. Was it? It's like, no, it wasn't you. Get off the screen. It's so funny. This is one of those movies where we both gave it a 7. It's an entertaining watch. There's nothing groundbreaking about the story. It's really all in the execution and the way all the pieces come together. I feel like, as you've put it in the past, like greater than the sum of its parts. Like there's nothing special about the individual bits of this.
It's B material executed at an A level.
Yeah, exactly. Could not agree more. The greedy bastards going for the bigger score is just like it always irks me, right? And as it should. They're the
Tales all his time.
But
little Icarus for you.
Yeah, and it's just like it's obviously not going to go well. But we're also watching this movie, so we know that. But there's always a wild card, and I know it's written into a million stories, and it's just like this guy. You are like, okay, it's so funny. The writing's on the wall for the whole movie, everything that's going to happen. But like I said, it's still a very entertaining watch. Like you said, B material, A execution. Couldn't agree more, because it's like okay, that's the bad guy. He's the inside man. Wild card guy. He's the reason this whole thing's going to go to shit. Right? And it's like everything is so obvious. It's like Jason Statham's the lead, and he's going to be fine.
He gets shot a bunch, but
ultimately fine.
He gets all the wrath that he can handle.
Man, full of wrath. I don't know, man. That character sucks so much. Eastwood.
Now, do you think they couldn't get Ben Barnes for the role, or because it feels like they're the exact same like actor and character?
I'm going to look that person up because the name is not ringing a bell.
Ben Barnes is always the bad guy.
Bad guy.
Bad guy in Punisher. Bad guy in Westworld.
Yeah, definitely. Question.
Well, the only reason I brought it up was because I thought that's who it was at first, and I was like, wait, no, that's Scott Eastwood. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So Scott Eastwood, was he supposed to be somebody in a big movie and was recast?
He was in Fast 8, and it seemed like he was tipped towards having a bigger role, but I don't know if he's in Fast 9.
I don't know. Something else. I can't for the life of me remember what it was, but I feel like he was slotted in or cast as being a lead in like some big budget movie, and then it ultimately went to somebody else. That's
not ringing a bell for me, but it's possible.
Okay. Anyway, whatever. That's neither here nor there. That's just my own personal thing that I've been trying to figure out since I started watching the movie.
Yeah, when he first popped up on screen, I was like, "Is that Ben Barnes?" And I was like, "No, I think it's Scott Eastwood." But weirdly, he looks a lot like Ben Barnes here. And then throughout the rest of the movie, I was like, kind of in the way that we had Hammer Cavill for a long time, I kind of felt like this movie would be like 1% better if it had Ben Barnes instead of Scott.
Yeah. Yeah. Put Eastwood in the barn? Is that actually...
Listen, Hammer Cavill was one thing, but this is even more of a stretch. What
about Cavill's Gavels?
Cavill's Gavels.
Oh, man. He has that scar on his eye. Really thought we were going to get a backstory to that. It was front and center for a while there.
War.
Just it's a war. It's a war scar. It's so funny. In talking about this movie, it should easily be a 4, maybe a 5. But it's not. It's better than that. It's entertaining.
There's a term for that. It's war wounds. War. Some sort of war scar that he may have gotten from a wound. I'm sure that there's something there.
The guy that played the sergeant that was getting the jobs, He looked very familiar to me, but I couldn't place him.
I totally forgot his...
Jeffrey Donovan?
Oh, the lead guy. Oh, yeah. The guy from Burn Notice.
Didn't watch
Hitch.
that. Hitch?
Yeah, he's the scumbag who's trying to...
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
He's also in Fargo season...
Didn't watch that.
2.
Could have been that.
But Burn Notice, he was the lead in Burn Notice. He was the one who was burned. It's like...
Was he given
very
notice?
Yes.
Is that how that show works?
Yes. He was given notice that he was burned and they tried to kill him. He's like, that's his most famous role for sure. He was on that show for like 8 years.
I want to circle back to things that Jason Statham does that I can. So first it was things that he can wear, right? And then he can also say lines like, do you fancy a burrito? It like, just flat out.
But that's just British.
Sure. And here's okay, can we do a little history lesson right now?
Do you fancy a burrito? Do you desire a burrito?
What is this is it's one of those things I feel like Andy from The Office right now. It's gone on for too long and I was just afraid to ask. Right?
Oh god.
Where does the term limey come from? Do you know?
I believe it's because it had something to do with either because they all put lime in their gin and tonics, or it was because well, because like there's the whole thing with gin and tonics, right? Why that drink exists, right?
I don't know about that either.
Oh, look, we're doing plenty of history right now.
This is great.
So, British Empire conquered so much of Africa and India and islands and stuff. All those places have a lot of mosquitoes with a lot of malaria. Enter quinine. Quinine allows them to push deeper into the continents because it protects against malaria. Quinine tastes disgusting. They could only stomach the quinine by drinking it with gin and tonic water.
Huh.
And that's why when you buy tonic water today, it still contains quinine. Very small amounts of it in this case. Because that's been a part of the mixtures for 150 years or whatever. You put lime in a gin and tonic. So it's either that or it's because, well, kind of paralleling all of that, British Empire, ton of sailing, scurvy. You have to have citrus fruit to prevent scurvy if you're on a ship.
Huh. Interesting.
So it's some combination of all of the stuff I just mentioned.
That's amazing. You know what's awesome to me is that you could have made all of that up and I would have bought it.
I'm like 99% sure
that's great.
It's some part of what I just mentioned.
I like that. I miss the old times when you could. This is why I thought about this the other day and I was going to look it up and I thought it might be more fun to just ask. Because I miss the days of speculating.
Well, now I'm going to look it up though.
Sure. What do you got?
Okay. The term is thought to have originated in the 1850s, which is about 150 plus years ago, as lime juicer, later shortened to limey, and originally used as a derogatory word for sailors in the British Royal Navy. Since the beginning of the 19th century, it has been the practice of the Royal Navy to add lemon juice to the sailors' daily ration of grog, which is watered down rum. The vitamin C, specifically L-ascorbic acid, in citrus fruits prevents scurvy, and helped to make these sailors some of the healthiest of the time. At that time, lemon and lime were used interchangeably. I'm going to challenge that one. To refer to citrus fruits. Initially, lemon juice from lemons imported from Europe was used as the additive to grog on the Royal Navy ships, but was later switched to limes, grown in British colonies, not realizing that limes contained only a quarter of the vitamin C that the lemons had, and that the way that the juice was stored and processed destroyed much of that, leaving the lime juice unable to prevent scurvy. In time, the term lost its naval connotation, was used to refer to British people in general. In the 1880s, British immigrants in Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. That's a terrible sentence. Although the term may have been used earlier in the U.S. Navy as slang for a British sailor or British warship, such usage was not documented until 1918. By 1925, the usage of limey in American English had been extended to mean any British person, and the term was so commonly known that it was featured in American newspaper headlines.
Fascinating.
It's considered a derogatory remark.
Where's this from?
That was on Wikipedia.
Sure. The whole, you know what, it sounds very believable except for like you said, the lemon lime interchangeable thing.
I'm going to challenge that. I don't believe that late on the timeline they were still using those terms interchangeably. One of them's yellow, one of them's green.
Somebody said lemony, and they were like, "Nah, that doesn't sound right."
You limey bastard.
just like one of those things that like it's used over and over countless times. Like I've heard it a million times. I know what you're referring to when you say it, but I just didn't know why. And I would guess that neither do most people that say it.
Fair. Well, to be fair, I know or knew kind of it was one of those two things. I knew that there was stories around both of those two things. I wasn't 100% sure which way it was. But I don't really use the term other than just now. Like, you know, it's like as like a very obscure and random joke.
Sure.
I've never actually called a person a limey. I've met a handful of British people. All of them were very nice. I had no reason to call them that.
Oh my god. Going back to the movie, I love how he gets into the game, the armored car game, by scoring exactly 70% on the test. That I feel like that bit of trivia that they give to you, and then he scores that's Guy Ritchie, right? Like that's his. I feel like that's like very, like his MO. And
like they harp on it a couple of times too.
Yeah, and then the first time we actually see him in action with a gun, and it's just like headshot. Like, this is hilarious. Also, okay. You know what's really great is that IMDb is currently doing a slideshow thing.
Oh, nice.
Right, and one of the when I texted you, there are so many questions or something along those lines. It was actually this scene that's in this clip right here, and it's H and Bullet are like leaving the lockdown area. And there's that glass case with the guy that's behind the computer, and he like sucks on two of his fingers, and it was just very uncomfortable for everybody involved.
Yeah, I don't remember that specifically.
I didn't like it one bit.
Was he sitting there snacking on something constantly while he was working behind that desk, buzzing people in?
I don't think not in this situation. He's just kind of leaning on something and looking directly at them and doing it. It's very weird.
Was he like doing putting a gun in his mouth and shooting himself thing because he got yanked off a truck and now he had desk duty?
Good question. I don't know. It looked more like he's eating his hand, but it could be.
So that's why I went back. I'm trying to remember. Was he snacking the whole time he's sitting there?
Maybe he's snacky. Could be a snacky guy. Does he die? Most people die in this movie. I don't think that he does.
Does he escape? I forget.
I don't think he escapes. I think he actually gets tied up.
Maybe. I know there's a whole thing where like he's in like the lockdown room.
Mm-hmm. Hits the alarm.
He hits the alarm.
When they go to turn the alarm off, I think they just tie him up and they leave him there.
Maybe because he's not armed.
No.
Or at least he doesn't shoot at them. Like, but there was a whole thing. Oh, don't they hold him hostage? And the bullpen guys, that's what finally gives them to give up the fight. The guys who are in like the armory, who are like the only.
No, they have to kill the guys in the armory to actually get into the glass case to turn the alarm off.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay. Yeah. I forgot the order.
I think he might be fine. I think he's the only person that lives that's inside.
And him and Eddie Marsan. And the girl.
No, she dies.
Does she die?
She gets shot in that. Bullet shoots her in the head.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I remember the other guy. There was her and the other guy on the truck. I definitely remember him killing that guy. I couldn't remember if he killed her.
All three of those people in the truck die.
Okay.
The two that were in the truck and the one that goes to the truck with the long hair. Is that what it was?
No, not him. The other guy. It was a black guy, I think?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he definitely died. I couldn't remember if she died too, but I think you're right. Yes. I think he kills both of them back to back.
Yep.
The other guy gets punked by like trying to be like Rambo, and he just gets brutalized. But Eddie Marsan survives. He escapes.
Oh, is he the
boss?
Oh yeah, he does. Right. He tells he wants
Josh Hartnett not to go back.
Exactly, and he leaves. But Josh Hartnett then he gets duped by Bullet as well.
Yes, correct.
Oh man, lots of death, lots of crisscrossing, shooting, killing. It's everybody's dead. It's like Free Fire up in here, but
there's some aspects
less fun, more dark.
Yes, I mean Free Fire pretty dark.
John Wick brutality in the shots and like how everything goes down so quickly. The pacing, I feel like Free Fire and like the crazy. Oh my god, we're in this room for a good portion of the movie, and it's terrifying, and everybody's under fire. And then
crossfire, betrayals.
Yeah, it's good. One of the other things I like.
So you also got the John Wick aspect of like that body armor was way too impressive.
Yeah,
like no one gets hurt wearing that body armor. Come on.
Well, one guy, actually two guys. Right?
Eventually.
Yeah, the sergeant and the one guy that actually like got hit at one point, and then definitely doesn't make it.
What I'm saying is like a bunch of them got shot like point blank in the chest and then like shrug it off.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Statham's character, like the only time that he's not like he plays like the same, like this very stoic. He doesn't break form at all. He's like all business except for that scene when he's with his son, which I think is awesome, and like showing you which should have been the hint, right? Like that should have been the hint that this is a precursor to what's going on, because he hasn't broken character even remotely since we've seen him until that.
Yeah, moment. He's a total robot. Like has some bit of personality in that scene in the before times.
I like the way that was done. Yeah. Just overall, it's just kind of fun. It was just a fun experience, like dark, like fun. Fun's a weird word to use, but it's an entertaining watch.
Well, you had some stuff right that was like again darkly comedic, like when the first time you see him go like Terminator mode.
Yeah,
and there's just like the incredulity watching him do that, and the responses of the bad guys like, oh fuck, like what is going on, like all that shit, and you know, Boy Sweat Dave and Bullet, like oh shit, yeah, he's doing it, like and then him chasing down and just eviscerating Post Malone.
Thank you, that's who it was, and then then everybody applauding his actions and how amazing he was at it, and then the boss of the owner of the company being like, no, you can't put him on leave. He's the only one that's doing this really well. That was really dumb. Oh my god.
There's also the scene that you texted me about was before all that when they go out for like drinks and pool, and he says, what was the line about him? You're not like a magician, like a social magician or whatever.
You're a real social magician. I like that. Here, let me buy you a beer so long as you go drink it over there. I was like,
like that was funny.
You have to like yell that at the screen, right? You gotta be like, oh shit. Well,
also, could you imagine that fat ass going and like starting a fight with like the only dude who was like on top of his shit? It's like, that's not a guy you cross.
No. The other thing that I thought was really funny about the movie was just like the armored car robbery market is just completely saturated.
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, it's LA, so you know that's like still a thing that happens there. But that much? Does it happen that much? Like, especially in like this is 25 years past Heat. Like, it's still going on like every other day. Yeah.
Especially for the sake of the movie, like it's just all these different crews that are doing it. What I did like was
rival crews.
Rival crews. What I did love was the execution by like these guys are good with the whole like paintball guns to light up the windshield and the mirrors, and then the gas to knock the people out inside, and then you find out that it's Statham's crew. Like that whole thing was really cool. It's still unclear to me. Does he have like some sort of immunity because he's like a CI for Andy Garcia? Like what was going on there?
Yeah, I don't know. That's something I'll probably have to rewatch to get a better handle on, because I was a little confused by that too, that there wasn't more of a payoff to that. And I'm definitely going to like misremembering the details, so probably going to get it wrong. So I was wondering if it was one of those, because we know there's obviously historically, both in real life and in fiction, there's been instances of that. Like I always think of The Departed, right, where the FBI is financing the Nicholson character so that they can roll up other organized crime. And it's like after a certain point, why would you continue to do that when this guy's clearly the worst of them all, type of thing?
Yeah.
And like that's based on something that really happened with Whitey Bulger. Like he was backed and bankrolled by the FBI and became a huge, massive force in organized crime in whatever it was, the 70s or whatever. And then that dude escaped and went in hiding for like 40 years until they finally found him in California a couple of years ago, and then he died. Like,
yeah.
Like that was a real thing that happened. So like we know, like think about like the stuff with like if you're like saw the movie American Made, like which was a real story.
Right.
Like, the CIA bankrolled the Colombian cartel. Like what's his name? I forget his name. The super famous Colombian drug lord. I'm totally blanking on his name. They bankrolled that guy. Like they put him in power to be an stoppable force in the drug world. Like, that's a thing that really happened. I never understood that thing. Like, okay, like, hey, we'll bankroll you for like 8 months until we roll up the operation, and then you'll get a light sentence, and then you'll go on a witness protection program or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, not we're gonna keep you in power for 10 years. Like, like it does not make an iota of sense to me.
Yeah,
and so like I maybe that's what's going on here.
It seems that way because I think it seems like it might be the FBI that's investigating what happened at the scene when he kills all those guys, and then they call Andy Garcia and like it's definitely our guy.
Yeah, because it didn't seem like the deal was already existing between the two of them, but it kind of comes up there. I also wondered, does like the thing with him breaking up totally accidentally, but breaking up the sex trafficking ring, if that's why wow, he took out this, he's going to take out this group of armored truck guys to avenge his son. He took out he's rolling up all the worst of the worst. So let's just let him go at it for a while. And he doesn't get to walk away with the money, but we'll let him walk away for now type of thing. But even that felt tenuous because it wasn't like there was an active relationship there. It was kind of a passive relationship.
Yeah, they don't
which
really
was confusing.
They don't really get into it. Interesting. And what distracts you? You know why you don't ask questions during the movies. You're just very distracted by Andy Garcia's accent, which was just all over the place and wacky.
Well, there's that. There's the fact that he's in like 3 scenes, like early and like late, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I kind of forgot about him.
Mm-hmm.
By the
Largely
end of the movie, he showed up at the end, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right." They were maybe looking into him.
It actually almost seems like they should have just cut that whole bit.
Yeah, they either needed to do more or nothing with it.
Yeah, I agree. What else you got? Oh, when he finally gets to Eastwood in his apartment, in his loft, and that's the chapter with the list of organs.
Yes,
and he goes over them and shoots him in them. That was a
nice touch.
That was a good wrap up.
There was a spleen, kidney, lung, liver, heart. Whatever the fuck it was. Heart, yeah.
That was good. What else you got? I mean, that's pretty much it for me. Like I said, it's a weird thing because I feel like in talking about it, doesn't come across that it's like that it's a 7, right? It sounds like a 4 or a 5, but it's just well executed.
Yeah, it seems like the type of movie where like if it was kind of slapsticky, that's the only way he's getting a higher grade because it's just like a fun movie. And I wouldn't say this is like a fun movie per se, but like
I'm not really super interested in rewatching it. But I wouldn't mind if it was on.
Yeah, it was an engaging watch, especially watching it unfold for the first time, just to see what's going to happen next. Even though you can kind of see the big picture, you can kind of tell some of the things ahead of time what's going to happen next. Seeing the specific details about how it all. I would have liked to see kind of a follow up with the Statham's crew to see just kind of how just a little bow tied on that. You know, are they cool with the boss doing what he's doing? Like, I'm sure they kind of get it, but like, I honestly just love to see the conversation following up them seeing him pop out of that armored truck. Where, fuck, you know what I mean? Like, just the guys like, man, that was close. Yeah. What? Who knew? Did you know the boss was doing this? I didn't know the boss was doing this. You know? I did think it was cool overall. I know we briefly talked about it the other day when you were watching it, or yesterday, whenever day that was. It was interesting how like that the crew with Jeffrey Donovan and Scott Eastwood and Laz Alonso just arrives fully formed in the movie. It's like this crew exists, they're together, they have backstory, we're gonna get a little bit of it. That's all we really need. Like we kind of know the trope. And seeing how like they weren't in like the first third of the movie, and then we get to spend a lot of time with them. I actually kind of liked how that storyline unfolded. Like, it was a little odd having saved them like kind of off screen for most of that section of the movie, but also I thought the dynamic was well done and well written, and it was kind of interesting.
It was almost like if there was a narrator. Now let's catch you up on the other guys. And then they go into that. That
whole thing was cool. I thought the dynamic and the storyline was interesting with all of them, like at least well executed. So.
I agree. Well, I guess that's part of like why the movie's engaging, right? It's like that you get a little bit about everything. The only thing that falls flat, it seems to be that whole FBI, not falls flat, but like is not fleshed out is what's going on with this informant aspect.
Yeah, surprisingly decent bit of world building overall for the movie.
Yeah,
like just like who the relevant players are, the ones we get a lot of detail, the ones we get a little bit of detail, like kind of just the general vibe of what's going on in that area. This whole very specific industry, like
Yeah, no, that's cool. And, yeah, I had fun. It was entertaining.
yeah.
Cool, man. Any closing thoughts? We're good to wrap up here.
No, I think that's probably good.
Well, then that's all for this week's episode of Flix and a Six. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you have a movie for us to review or nuggets for us to discuss, you can send those requests to flixandasix@thespinjune.com, tweet us @spinjune, or contact us through the website. We have some forums there to make it easy for you. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to use your recommendations if you got them. Tune in next week for more movie and beer goodness. Until then, I'm Anthony Costanza.
I'm Al Bielsi.
Thanks for coming.